All right, and welcome to our first podcast, the Tropeadope podcast. This is episode 0. We're going to stick with episode 0 because I think that's probably where this episode is going to be at temperature-wise. My name is Josh Swearingen. Next to me here, to my right.
I'm Cody Swearingen. I'm Cameron Eisele. I'd like to say that was his left.
That was your left, actually.
All right.
Great start.
Across the table, that's easy.
My name is Cain Morton.
And I'm Tommy.
True
I'm
right.
leaving it at that.
Tommy's true right.
Yeah, can I take back the last name part? Is it too late?
No.
No, you're kind of stuck with it at birth, so I mean, you get attached to it.
Yeah, so, this is just going to be kind of pretty freeform. Just trying to figure out where we're gonna head with this. This is already getting really bad. All right, well, anyways, I suppose we'll probably just jump straight into what we've been playing. Cain, what's up, man? What you been playing?
Oh, you start with me. All right, so I've been spending a lot of time on my computer. I recently just upgraded my computer. I bought a GTX 1080 and a nice monitor.
Upgraded from what?
Some AMD card. Oh, no. 7970. That's what it was.
Okay.
It was 7970. I mean, it did its job fine. It did 1080p okay,
There's
but...
nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. But, I saw those 1080s and I was like, you know what? It's time. It's time to do this. Let's drop like $1,000 on computer hardware. So that's what I did, stupidly. And what do you do when you buy a new computer on a whole bunch of stuff? You play World of Warcraft.
Fucking
World
Tales old as time.
with all that tasty G-Sync, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The G-Sync is great. Keeps WoW at a nice 144 frames a second. But no. I've been playing WoW. As most of you guys know, Legion. We were going to try to avoid talking about WoW, but here we are already.
Yeah, what you been playing?
Yeah. But anyway, so...
Which a few weeks in on this podcast, that same answer might get a little redundant.
Yeah, right.
So you might have to find new things. Just be like,
More
so
WoW.
what are you playing still?
Well, I
WoW?
rolled
All
a
this
rogue.
time? We'll just save this audio clip and replay it every week.
Anyway, so the expansion comes out on Tuesday. Today's Friday. So there's been a lot of Legion pre-patch stuff. I've been playing that a lot. There's a lot of really cool events that are going on in the world, which kind of wind down to you running around the world and just killing a whole bunch of demons and getting gear that will be replaced very soon. So that's really fun.
Sounds familiar.
The classes got a whole bunch of changes. That's honestly it for WoW. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole here too deep. But
Yeah, that's a pretty good...
But yeah, it's fun. If you've been lapsed from WoW from a long time, now's a pretty good time to dive in. Things are...
Kane's looking right at me.
I'm looking right at you.
Right into your soul.
Right into your soul. No. So, but yeah, it's a good time to jump in. The classes are different. The game's in a really good spot right now, and there's actually quite a bit of hype around it, which I feel like WoW has not had for a long time, because I've been out of it. I've been out of the game, too. So I just jumped back in, and it's good. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
Nice.
So, it's good. Honestly, that's pretty much it. I check in with Overwatch every now and then. Which is still good.
Oh, yeah.
That's another Blizzard game that's fun.
Still have yet to play it.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know how. I don't know why.
Which is interesting because you have that nice tracer thing right on your desk.
Yeah, and also I feel like out of all of us, I'm the one that most avidly played Quake Arena and Unreal Tournament and TF2 and all those
You're
games.
wearing a TF2 hat.
Good point.
Yeah. Maybe that's why.
No.
No.
I'm just poor.
Yeah. Well, moving and all that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Cameron, how about you, man?
Boy, I've been dabbling in the WoW a little bit too with Cain, of course. But not that much, honestly. Just here and there, pretty lightly. I'm trying not to let it hold my feet to the fire. It's staying at the low end of my priority list with games.
As it probably should.
Yeah, I don't want to feel blackmailed by World of Warcraft 14 years after it started to do it to me.
Takes you hostage over again.
So I am, whether I want to or not all the time, forcing myself to play other things. Hitman has been a big game for me lately. Been doing a lot of Hitman, going back and kind of capturing. I didn't start playing it until recently, so I missed a bunch of episodes. So it's given me a lot to do. I think we all, in different ways, dabbled in No Man's Sky. And so that's a conversation for later. But let's just say I played No Man's Sky, then very quickly started to play Starbound after that. So yeah, that kind of gives you a hint. Beyond that, though, Deus Ex is something I need to play. I own it. It's installed, but I haven't even
Fuck.
I haven't even
Same page.
executed it yet. So it's just sitting there waiting for me. I don't know
I was
what I'm
even
waiting
here
for.
when we got it, and I forgot it came out.
Yeah, yeah. So that's I guess that's what I should be playing.
So I have a question for you about Deus Ex. Pretend that I know nothing about Deus Ex and pitch me on it. Because I don't know anything about it. So try to sell me on it. I know that there are the stories about people who have like modifications to their body.
Yeah.
And it kind of has like some RPG elements, right?
Yeah, definitely. First person RPG shooter.
Not BioShock.
With a handful of stealth elements for sure. So it's gonna be kind of, I mean, you can almost compare it to a Far Cry in a sense, because it's all about how you play the game. Like you can go Rambo, you can stealth, you can do no kill. Like, it's a big RPG.
Okay.
Without the big open map.
Right. Yeah, I know. And I wonder, I haven't seen much on the world on this game. That was actually one of my issues with not the first one, obviously, but the first one.
Human Revolution.
Thank you. Yeah, Human Revolution. Is I didn't actually, that was the one part of the game I didn't like, was Detroit, and the map felt really tiny. Like, it felt like the Detroit high school. And they were trying to play it off like a city. Like, it was
very quaint.
Yeah, and I know people love that game, and I respect Deus Ex, but yeah, I couldn't get into that one. I'm hoping this one's different, but...
So are they level based? Are these is it like a mission, like 10 missions?
No, I wouldn't say so.
At least in the past. I don't know about this new one, but...
Yeah, well, in general, it is objective based. I mean, it's the first Deus Ex you could almost compare to a System Shock or a Half-Life.
Okay, all right.
It was
Cody,
more
you're
given
tasks to
Cody,
do,
you look
man.
like you're brimming over here.
Yeah, I play so much Deus Ex. I'm just like, I just want to input.
Which one?
All of them.
Have you played
Yes.
the newest one?
Yeah. Oh, no, I haven't played the newest one yet, but I did play Deus Ex, and I even played Invisible War like 4 times.
Yeah.
So do you have anything to add on to what Cameron was saying for Cain there? Or?
Yeah, well, like with the map thing, it's almost like think of the cities as a hub world that goes to different missions.
Oh, okay.
And some of the missions exist in said hub world.
Like Wreck-It Ralph? Like in the hub world of Wreck-It Ralph?
Just like Wreck-It Ralph.
I want to use that. Sure.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but it's like you're in the city and you go around and there's like little side quests to do in the city and stuff, and then you usually go back to base and they're like, hey, we're gonna go in this helicopter to other location in the world, and you go there and it's usually Hong Kong, but don't worry about it.
So is the leveling up like I'm gonna level up my gun, or is it I'm gonna level up my character stats?
I'm gonna level up if you're playing like the newer one, like if you're playing Human Revolution or the newest one, then I'm gonna level up my augments, and you level those up individually amongst the different body parts.
Okay.
So you can kind of customize your playstyle, but then you can also buy and find customization pieces for your guns, and so you can like attach like silencers or a laser or other fun baubles.
Yeah, and the interesting thing too is that pretty much everything that you do in the game, you get XP for, whether that's like crawling through a vent and sneak into a place like cool sneak points, or like if you go guns blazing, like cool, you fucked everyone up points. So it's pretty much just like you get XP for everything that you do, and then you build onto your character with that. So it's a pretty neat game. I really enjoyed it myself personally, but
cool. Yeah, I would like to check it out. I might play this new one. It sounds pretty cool.
It is.
Cody.
Oh, well, I was playing No Man's Sky, and then I got real not fun with that, and I decided to play Starbound instead, and I have never not playing Starbound. I've also been playing a lot of D&D, as you all know.
So quick interject with you and No Man's Sky, and then Paisley was playing No Man's Sky as well. I was so ready for me to not like No Man's Sky and like come over and play D&D, and you and Paisley are just loving it. And it would be one of those things where I'm like, I don't want to sound like a pretentious asshole.
It was, for me, it's just, I don't need the game to be like, oh, it's got a crafting system, and it's got weapon upgrades, and oh, it's so cool. Well, okay, it does have weapon upgrades, and it's got like, oh, you level up, and oh, it's so cool, you get bonus points for headshots, blah. Like, I don't need that. I want, like Like, the coolest part for me about No Man's Sky was, like, learning languages.
Yeah.
Like, the grind is all right. It's a little heavy, but I understand why it's heavy. I essentially wanted more, like... What this internet was crying out for, which was, I wanted a crafted game. A game where when I go to a planet, exploring the planet is like going to a separate level in a game where there's, like, platforming elements and stuff. Like, I was so disheartened when I first played it, and it was like, oh, cool. I'm going to run on a planet, and there's going to be, like, platforming, hopefully, and stuff like that. And it's like, no, you hold the button, and it's jetpack.
Yeah.
And then you land.
I really feel like they fell back on the exploration as, like, a replacement for the game. Like, they're like, oh, they're going to be able to explore planets, so we don't need to script an encounter. We don't need to do that. That's not what this game's about. It's like, you're just, like, taking things away from your project.
Yeah.
Also, it kind of feels like, too, that maybe there was a lot of features that they had previously intended for the game that didn't actually, like, hit release, too. Like, a lot of the stuff they've been talking about. Yeah, like multiplayer. What is it? Like the large ships? I can't remember what it's called.
They're planning on adding those.
Yeah, it seems like those were actually like actual like stuff that should have been with the game itself. Mm-hmm. But now they're just passing it off as DLC. But yeah, Starbound version 1.0 after how many years?
At least 2.
At least 2.
I want to say 2.
At least
More
2.
than 2.
I feel like
because I was playing Starbound in Olympia.
Yeah, and that was a long. That was almost 4 years. Well, no, 3 years. 4 years.
3 or 4. I don't. What year is it?
16. But yeah. So as I understand, I've been watching you play it a little bit and everything. Like, it's actually got like a full storyline built into it with characters and quests.
Oh, really?
And leveling.
I didn't know that game evolved that much.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
the amount of weapons I've been enjoying. I feel like I get a new sweet weapon with a new sweet ability every like half an hour. Like,
that's been new really weapon types is
really rewarding. Yeah.
Played, so.
Yep. Yeah. Tons of weapon types. It was perfect because I was like, I don't really feel like playing Terraria or anything like that. No Man's Skies make me feel real bummed, like I'm real sad. And then I was actually playing No Man's Sky, and Cameron popped on, and it was like, Cameron is playing No Man's Sky. 5 minutes later, Cameron is playing Starbound. So I sent him a message. I was like, you trying to make a statement? He was like, no, man, 1.0 came out. I was like, oh, shit. So I downloaded it and played it. Yeah, it's Terraria and No Man's Sky smashed together. So you have that procedurally generated planets, but a static universe for everybody. So when you find a planet, everyone else can go to that exact same planet.
That's really great.
The loot and stuff will be different, but it's the same planet. It also has multiplayer, like connectable multiplayer, so you can just automatically team up with friends. It has a full story mode that I'm like maybe halfway through, I think. And in the story mode, you unlock a bunch of stuff like new vendors in the hub world, like the galactic outpost thing. And there's a bunch of side quests on top of that, and there's also like randomly generated side quests in the towns. Where it's like, oh, I need you to go get person X from location Y. I will give you this many gubbins. Like, and so if you absolutely need just like, I just feel like, playing it and doing grindy quest stuff, then you can do that. But otherwise, you have the crafting, you have the exploration, you have the mining aspect.
I have a really good game for you if you want something that's really grindy.
Okay.
Dragon Quest?
That was a joke. It's called World of Warcraft.
So on the Starbound thing with I don't think it's a mistake. In my head, I like to think that the video game industry and these people who run these huge businesses and this mega industry, that they are fickle creatures. And now it could be intelligence in marketing or it could just be they're fickle little teenage girls.
No, you got to think of it more along the lines of they're like mythological creatures on a council.
Which many of them are mythological. But like Starbound being official 1.0, so close to No Man's Sky release. Like that doesn't feel like an accident to me. Kind of similar to like Overwatch going, having their beta, making sure their beta started the day the Battleborn came out.
Are you calling Starbound the rebound?
No, I'm saying Starbound, the people who developed Starbound very intelligently, and I think also almost maliciously, know that this big hype No Man's Sky is coming, and so they make sure that 1.0 is right around that time. Same with, and I think it's a fact. I'm not sure. I had to look this up, but I think it's a fact that Overwatch almost bumped their beta to release the day of Battleborn just to make sure. Obviously, they didn't need to do much to hurt that game, but still, the fact that Big Blizzard kind of responded slightly. I just love it because maybe it's just business. I like to think there's a little more to it.
A little more spice going on.
Yeah.
I don't think Overwatch needed to kill Battleborn, but it certainly did.
And I think they saw a great opportunity with the beta release.
So, Tom, are you playing anything interesting?
I've been playing a whole lot of stuff all over the place. Like, I've been playing Super Hexagon. I love me some puzzle games and everything like that, rhythm games. So, Velocibox is another one that's a lot of fun. Checking out We Happy Few.
Yeah, you picked that up.
I did pick that up. And, like, I have only put in a few hours into it, but just the initial impressions, it really reminds me of the movie Brazil. So, if you like the idea of a George Orwell 1984 story told by Monty Python, that is We Happy Few.
Nice.
Because that is essentially what Brazil is. It's this crazy dystopian world, but it's got that Monty Python humor and everything like that. And so just all of the color and character design, the exaggerated expressions when they smile or when their eyes get big and everything like that, just really reminds me of Brazil and like Terry Gilliam style specifically and everything like that's all I've been playing World of Warcraft.
Oh,
That's what I've been playing. I mean, it's been WoW. Like I haven't played WoW in like 6 years since like 2010.
This is not usually the WoWcast, like you said.
Yeah.
Or obviously episode 0, but this won't usually be the WoWcast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost
like so. I wasn't lying. I have been playing all those other games, but the majority of my time has been checking out World of Warcraft content just because it's all new. I haven't done anything post Cataclysm, post Mists of Pandaria, post Draenor, or anything like that. When I pre-ordered Legion, I got a free level 100 boost, and so I used that. So now I got a level 100 character, and they're like, "Hey, cool! So you also got a garrison and some stuff in it." And I have no idea what I'm doing. Like I got buildings that I can do stuff with, and I don't know what to do with it. I've been checking out, essentially the Pokemon element because that's vaguely the only thing I understand how to do.
The right answer with those buildings is do nothing.
Yeah.
Because they're about to be worthless.
Yeah. And I mean, that's pretty much what I figured out. Like, I talked to an NPC every now and then. I got a bank there, so that's pretty cool. I mean, didn't have to pay for that. But, I mean, it's just, it's also just,
Can't put a press in the bank.
not having seen it for a long time, classes are completely different. They play differently. They play more similar to Diablo 3 now, but I skipped over Diablo 3 in favor of Torchlight 2. And everything like that. And so just how you get your talent progression and everything like that. Like getting talents every 15 levels feels weird to me when I'm used to the talent tree aspect where you can go down another tier every 5 levels and everything like that. So leveling kind of feels slower. It feels weird not having to go to a trainer or anything like that. I don't know if they serve any purpose other than doling out class quests, like because you get this stuff automatically now. So it's nice that there's not a money grind and everything like that for new players or people like me who are coming back for it who don't have a large bank or anything like that. And then it's also weird seeing some zones that were low-level zones that are now high-level zones, like the Barrens is split in two. Some, like Ashara, used to be a mid-high 40, low 50s. I can't remember what.
So welcome to 2012.
Yeah, and now it's like a starter zone or something like that. And so, I mean, like the last time I played World of Warcraft was when they added the lunar and solar eclipse meter for druids back in Wrath of the Lich King, and that is even completely changed and everything like that. So everything plays completely differently. So that's enough to at least keep some of my interest because even if I'm running around, I'm primarily playing it just because Cain and Cameron are playing it, and I stopped playing WoW because I wasn't able to play with friends. And if I wasn't playing with friends now, I still wouldn't be playing WoW. It's really being able to play with friends that is the reason why I would play it. And even though our schedules aren't aligned or anything like that, there's enough new content to at least make it interesting enough for me to check out and everything like that. But that being said, just picked up a ton of games on sale on Origin. Nox was free, so I haven't played that in years. So definitely going back to that one.
Is that still on the house?
It is still on the house, so you should download it tonight.
That is a good one. I should too.
I had no idea that there was a multiplayer element to Nox until you mentioned it to me.
I used to do that competitively.
It's like Capture the Flag, I think.
It is.
And
Wizard.
so that sounds like a lot of
Wizard's
fun.
the best.
So for those of you who don't know, because that's probably most of you.
Yeah, like
no,
Nox.
no, we're
like,
talking
we should
about
probably
this
talk
game.
about Nox.
Yeah, we're
a
talking
little
about this
bit.
game like it's well known.
Yeah, go ahead, Nox.
I
So-
only played a small portion of it and everything like that, and I mainly found out about it because it was made by Westwood, and Westwood is who made all of the Dune and Command and Conquer games. That's how I found it, because I was still steeped in like Diablo 1 even when it came out and everything like that. But like, people are surprised for me to say this, but I would prefer Nox over Diablo 2. Like, it's just, I like Nox that much more. And everything
Let's not
like
get
that.
too crazy. But.
Yeah,
Them's
exactly.
fighting words, but them's fighting words that I stand by.
Them's fighting words that can be defended in like a multiplayer capture the flag setting, you know, via Nox or
Top
something
3 Diablo clones in no particular order would be Titan Quest, Torchlight,
like that. Nox.
and Nox. But
Yeah.
no, like very few people know of Nox at this point.
Yeah.
'Cause it's
Yeah.
pretty old.
I would put Path of Exile on there instead of Nox, but
Yeah.
Path.
That's
I don't know. I
good.
tried that out during the beta. It didn't really. I mean, I really liked how you could like, slot your items with different gems to make it different elemental damages and stuff like that. But yeah, like overall, Path didn't really grab me too much. I also did, though, in its defense, I did really think the Sphere Grid level tree was really effing cool.
I wish more games would actually do that.
Sphere Grid,
Like,
man.
it's just,
Come on.
right now I can only think of Final Fantasy X and Path of Exile. It'd be nice if there was more than just 2 examples I could think of off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I think Witcher kind of had it a little bit.
Their new thing they added was
Yeah.
very small scale. WoW, in a
Right.
sense, is doing that too with a small scale with the
Yeah,
legendary
artifact
weapons.
Yeah, and then
just nodes.
yeah,
It's all
then-
nodes in the end.
Yep, there's
Those are neat.
a game that was recommended to me via Steam. I can't remember the name of it, but they kind of had a very expansive skill tree and everything. But it's just everything else about the game didn't look interesting, and I'm just so
Yeah.
it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
That more game, it feels like it would be a lot of effort to implement though. So I can understand why more people don't do it. It would just be nice if more people did.
Yeah. Any other games, though?
Let's see here. I mean, I always go back to Terraria. It's just I skipped the Minecraft boat. Not because I think it's a bad game or anything like that. It's just I never took the initial step. And when I finally decided to, speaking to Josh here and Cameron, like I saw you playing Terraria in the store, and it looked like a lot of fun. So I was like, okay,
Forever ago.
yeah. And so I was like, hey, that looks like a lot of fun, so I'll check it out. And pretty much I realized I would only have time between one Minecraft or Terraria. And I was like, okay, well, I've already got Terraria. I guess this is where I plant my flag. And so I checked my hours played today, and I have like 270 hours on it. That is someone else coughing who should be quiet. I'm super embarrassed.
We got to stow away
We
in this
should-
podcast.
Yeah, let's talk about more things that the people can't hear, like Kuski on the couch and everything like that. Oh my God, what's he doing?
That's its own podcast.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Kuski on the
Oh my
couch.
God, it's gonna be all right.
Is this gonna get edited out?
No,
We'll see.
Let's do it live. We'll see how
This
it
is
plays.
episode 0.
burn it
is
down.
episode
Burn it
0.
all down.
yeah, exactly. But so I still go back to Terraria every now and then, just because of those 270 hours. Only like one of those hours is actual multiplayer. I just like entering into a world and then building stuff and everything like that. And then turns out you can do a lot of cool stuff in Terraria. Like yesterday, I just found out someone recreated the first 5 worlds of Mario in Terraria with
nice.
working warp pipes and
I'd like to see
everything.
that.
Yeah, so
Wow.
Working.
I have no idea why. That's what it looked like from the pictures. So, but they uploaded it to Reddit on the Terraria subreddit, and they even offered a download link, so you can go download the world and check it out
Nice.
yourself. So, like, it's cool stuff like that. It's kind of interesting that Minecraft feels very open-ended as far as what you can do, whereas stuff like Terraria and even Starbound, since you have a limited 2-dimensional field, you're kind of placed in a bit more of a box, so you got to be a bit more creative. So it's still really cool to see what people do. And then as far as the other stuff, Super Hexagon, I wasn't lying about that. I do like playing rhythm games and everything. I go back to that one every now and then. It's just nice.
Yeah.
Kill 15, 20 minutes
Yep.
playing that and everything like that. And then like
Die
ever
30
since,
times.
yep. And then game over, begin, game over, begin, game over, begin. That's how you play Super Hexagon. But then ever since I started playing Adventure Capitalist, that game is like Slender Man. It just is always following you.
Air quotes with game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the numbers go up.
People
There's a
will
high
accept
score.
clickers someday.
Oh, the numbers.
Yep. But I mean, so it's just I have no idea why I still open that game up on my Steam library every now and then. I guess I just like its sense of humor, and it feels odd to say that a clicker game has end game content, but it does. Like, that's very bizarre. I don't know how to describe it. Like,
and click content.
yeah, it's quote unquote end game content.
Final
But they
click.
have
There's
like
extra clicks you got to do.
Final click.
No, there's
Yeah.
no final click.
yeah. So I mean, it's just also just by its very nature, because it plays itself. Even if I wanted to stop, technically, I don't think I can, because it's just still playing.
That's the scariest thing ever.
Yeah, it's just like, you should stop playing this game, and you're like, I did 5 years ago, but it's still haunting me because it's just always there.
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, yeah, it's like my own little Slenderman. You know, it's always following me. Yeah.
Well, fun.
What have you been playing, Josh?
Oh, well, thank you for asking, Cameron.
Next up, no, anyway.
Everything. Just recently, I decided for funsies to start up the Long Dark. And they totally added in a couple of challenge modes in there. And yeah, it was the other day. I beat my head against the wall on one for I think like 6 hours or something. But yeah, essentially the challenge is that you start off in a place called Mystery Lake, and you have to get to a place called Timberwolf Mountain. Get a flare gun at the summit of this zone, and then travel to another place called Desolation Point and fire the flare gun from the top of a lighthouse. And you have to do this in a span of 7 days in-game time. And it's super, super hard and difficult because you've got wolves walking around trying to eat you. You got bears, walking around trying to eat you. And you've got the weather just everywhere trying to kill you all the time. And,
so it's kind of a survival game.
Oh, yeah, to the max.
Okay.
It's basically like... The game itself it takes place in Canada, and like it's still early access, so they don't actually have like an actual set like storyline for the game. But yeah, essentially, there's like some blizzard of the century or something like that happened in Alaska. Everybody's dead, and the whole place is vacated. And yeah, you basically have to try and survive for as long as possible. And specifically in the challenge I was doing, trying to get to point B to point, or from point A to point B to complete it, and I couldn't. It was too much.
What's their kind of goal with the game? Because I played it back when it was like first emerged, and it felt like really good potential, but there wasn't a lot going on in the game. Kind of like maybe when you first played Starbound, very similar. Are they kind of going more objective based with it, where they're going to want you to be doing things like get to the top of the mountain and fire the flare gun, or are they going to try to wrap it in some big story or something like that?
Yes. So they've got challenge modes that they have in place now, but yeah, the ultimate end game is that they're going to be releasing a story mode that kind of explains what's going on, and like during the story modes you need to get to certain places, I would assume. And it also looks like they're going to try to offer it in like an episodic kind of situation. That way it works better for them, when they're developing their content. But yeah, like overall, like so far, like I played the game like when it was just kind of its base form, and it was kind of fun to like survive for a while. But after a while, you're like, I made it 5 days and I'm still alive.
A few hours at most is what it felt like.
So
when it was bare bones, at least.
Yeah. So I mean, the challenge modes definitely breathed some new life into them. The other challenge mode, you essentially get mauled by the bear, big old bear.
That sounds like a hard challenge mode.
Yeah.
You just instantly mauled by a bear as soon as you start.
You start
Leonardo
the challenge off being
DiCaprio
mauled.
mode.
Yeah. You get Revenant by this bear.
Okay.
And then, you start off with 8 condition, and which you have 100 condition, and 8 is the low end.
Okay, HP.
Sure. That's what they call it. I'm just going to call it what they call it. Anyways, and then, pretty much, you have to get to the Hunter's Lodge. Meanwhile, this bear is chasing you nonstop, and nothing can kill it except for the hunter's rifle in the hunter's lodge. So
that sounds really cool.
I haven't tried that one yet because it makes me want to pee my pants because it's bad. So,
but if you survive, you get an award.
If you survive, you get a cool badge.
You get an Oscar, yeah.
No, an Oscar. You get an Oscar speech.
That's cool. Yeah, you get to talk about global warming.
Yeah, exactly. That maybe that's what caused the blizzard of the century and all this other stuff. It's just it all comes back to.
That's right.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
That's right.
Getting an Oscar.
Leo.
Like Long Dark, way ahead of his time.
But beyond that, I suppose, I've been dabbling a little bit into Hitman myself, checking out the new Bangkok map, which is interesting. I don't know. I put a few hours into it, and I think it's interesting. I still want to say, though, that Sapienza is my favorite. The coastal city. That map is awesome.
Yeah, Sapienza is really good.
It's massive, and there's so much to do.
The newest map's definitely not the best. It's fun, but definitely not the best.
Yeah.
Like, definitively not the best. It's good, but
I did
any of the others I think would be better. I hope United States is good. It's the next one.
Oh, yeah. It's
Yeah.
got to be the next one.
Yeah.
It's got to. But I did read an article that I kind of agreed with on Kotaku. I don't actually know the name of it specifically, but like, yeah, I want to say like Bangkok is like one of the best like recent like, what would you call it? Like just like creations of like a level, like, you know, when like developers go through and they place things in specific parts and like make like
Just one of the best level designs that have been.
Yeah, just one of the
a
best
3D
level
world
designs
in
I've seen
recent-
like in a long time. Just with the amount of like life that's going on in that. And Sapienza also too, like that one has like a lot of people and a lot of dynamic things going on, but like Bangkok like looked really good and
Like-
very pretty. So
Like the newest one feels like it's got a lot of busy stuff for the sake of looking
It's-
populated, whereas Bangkok feels more fleshed out and
well,
alive.
so Bangkok is it's you're playing in a hotel that has a
okay.
restaurant off the side of it, and so you've got like the hustle and bustle of like
Oh, cool.
you know, the hotel and like people being general dickbags to the staff and all that stuff. So I mean, it's pretty cool. So yeah, and then Overwatch and none of that WoW because I can't do that. I can't subscription.
You're just
I can't
not
do
a cool kid.
subscriptions no more.
I actually have something to bring up. A game that isn't WoW or Overwatch.
You're launching a Kickstarter for Josh's subscription.
Yeah, if you want to go to kickstarter.com/#getjoshwow. No, I'm just kidding. So this is a little bit old news, but I just want to talk about this game called Slain.
Oh,
Oh, goodness.
It's an indie
Burned
game.
from Hell. Or Back from Hell.
Yeah, they just recently relaunched, which was much needed. Let me give a little backstory. This game was on Kickstarter. It got some money. It has beautiful pixel art. It's kind of like Castlevania-inspired game. It's a platformer. It has some pretty crazy metal music in it. That's kind of like one of the selling points, I guess. Anyway, so I saw this game when it originally came out, and I think this was like maybe 3 or 4 months ago. I went on Steam, like, man, this game looks great. I love Castlevania. I love platformers. I like metal music. Sure, let's give this a shot. I downloaded it, and it was just trash. Just like the worst garbage heap that you can imagine.
I'm pretty sure you're describing a game that Steam told me I would like. And I avoided it
Yeah,
because it didn't look that great.
yeah. I didn't do that.
Oh.
So I bought it. I was really excited. But basically, the game was super buggy. It had no polish. The level design was really sloppy. It just crashed constantly, and I was like super bummed. So I was like, man, I really wanted to give this game some money and kind of, you know, have some faith in it. So anyway, I left a really bad Steam review, like the first time I've ever left a Steam review. I was upset about it.
I was going to ask you, did you refund?
No,
Nice, good.
no, I didn't. Turns out what they should have done is just done early access. They probably should have just launched as early access. I think that probably would have worked out a lot better. The backlash would have been fine, and that would have kind of kept some good faith. But they didn't do that. But they did come out and say, you know what, this game does suck, and we want to fix it. So I kind of took their word and said, okay, I don't think that you can do this, but, you know, I'll check in on it in a couple times, you know, in a couple months or whatever. So a couple months rolled by, and they released a patch, and they fixed some pretty significant things. It's still not great. I still wouldn't buy it. This is not the Back from Hell. This is in between Back from
What's
Hell
the
and the
price of
initial
the
launch. I think it's like $13,
Okay.
$15 maybe. It's not a huge investment.
I was gonna say 13. I was like, that's a very specific number. But yeah, 15.
15,
Well,
10% off.
13.
Exactly. Exactly. So anyway, and that was fine, but like I said here at the beginning, is that they recently relaunched with Back from Hell, and they fixed a lot of things. The game is still probably a good 7 out of 10, but if you like platformers and you like metal music and all those things that I described that I initially was really excited for, it's pretty good. It's fun. Go ahead.
It's got fantastic pixel art. Like
Yeah, that's what I was just
it's
about to
really
say.
Incredible. Yeah.
The pixel art is like top notch, cannot be beaten. And that's like the one thing I said in my Steam review was like, this game really sucks ass, but
It looks nice.
it looks real good.
I'm pretty sure some of the pixel art though is pre-render that is formatted into pixel art though.
Really?
Yeah, because I saw a loop idle from one of the enemies, and it very much looked like it was pre-rendered that was turned into pixel art.
Interesting.
I mean, a lot of that stuff is just crafted pixel art. Like,
Sure.
yeah.
Man, that's okay though. Whatever you have to do to get there, it still looks really.
Yeah, whatever they did,
Whatever
it
got you
looked.
there.
Yeah, whatever they did, it still looks immaculate. So anyway, if you see it and you like those things that I just described, check it out. Like I said, it's only $13 specifically. So yeah,
And honestly, like, there's nothing wrong with playing a 7 out of 10 game. Like, that's not a bad score. Most games would be happy to be 7 out of 10. Like, one of the games I picked up on Origin is the new Syndicate. It's the first-person shooter that came out a few years ago. It's not as good, critically or consumer or with players as the original PC game and everything like that. I knew that, but a lot of people say, I would give it a 7 out of 10. I'm like, honestly, that's good enough for me to check it out. I'm still curious.
This is a whole conversation, but the problem is we live in a 4-point scale game industry.
Yeah.
Where it's from 6 to 10.
Yeah.
Anything below 6, we think is not
Bad.
even worth even reading the headline. Yeah. So when you're a 7 and when your base is a 6, sadly in this world, that's where that stigma comes from.
We can thank the American school system for that.
Yep,
Because
exactly.
we never learned how to count.
That's 100% it. It's because we view everything as A, B, C, D, and F. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, technically, when the American school system put us on a 1 to 12 point scale instead of the metric 1 to 10.
We digress.
This is America. Don't talk about the metric system.
And for the record, that game is a 40 on Metacritic. So
Really?
yes.
A lot of those reviews.
Looks cool though, and it looks a lot like Castlevania. Holy crap.
Yeah, a lot of those reviews probably didn't get updated though.
Yeah,
they're probably from the initial launch, which
Oh,
was
yeah, I'm
a
sure.
good 3.
Which is why you should do early
4
access.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How does
And
Steam do that with their reviews?
Steam actually they have overall reviews, and then now they also have a separate most recent reviews.
Okay.
And so if a game initially came out and it had a lot of negative or mixed reviews or anything like that, or just a lot of negative reviews, and then a lot of the more recent reviews were positive, it will show a mixed rating, but then you will also be able to see the most recent reviews, and a lot of the times the most recent reviews on games that were initially bad, that have changed and fixed a lot of the worst parts about it, a lot of those reviews will mention all of the early negative reviews were because of these bugs or these gameplay mechanics that no longer exist. Here is actually a more up-to-date of the current version of the game review. So initially, maybe like 4 out of 10, but now solid 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 or something like that.
They also added that now there's an early access tag that gets thrown on your review if you give it when it's
Early access review.
Like, I actually think I need to go and delete my old Starbound review because I think it's real bad.
Well, speaking of other games that have gotten not so great reviews, I suppose it's time to start talking about the elephant in the room.
Kuski.
No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky, man, what a
game.
What a
Is it a game?
honestly.
So who hasn't played No Man's Sky here?
I myself have not played it.
Okay.
I have not played it either.
Okay.
What a
Christy
release,
raises his
right? I mean, so PS4 was pretty crazy, a little bumpy, but overall, like, the game played as intended and worked as well as it should. PC got pushed back to the following Friday, and boy, yeah, should have definitely got pushed
And
further.
Still not running great.
Yeah.
No,
I
yeah.
have a decent machine. Still not running great.
Well, I mean, and Josh has his own, like, trials and tribulations story that he can attest to just with
Yeah, I mean, anybody
older
out there,
hardware.
anybody out there that's running the AMD Phenom processor family,
Heyo.
hey, we're family.
Like,
yeah, you could not play that game. You could not play that game until sometime late Tuesday night, and then at that point, it was hardly playable. And yeah, that's like, I mean, I have the Phenom 2X6. It's a 6-core processor, and I mean, it's old as hell, but it's not a bad processor. It's actually Cain's old processor, but but you know, it holds its own. And like, I also have 970 and 16 gigs of RAM, and it's installed on the solid state drive. And yeah, like, it hardly ran at all. And like, yeah, like Cameron, yeah, I mean, your computer is
Up to date.
freaking good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. 980, 16 gigs like Josh.
and you even had trouble.
You're running
setting.
i7 or i5?
i7.
i7.
Yeah. Yeah, no, not good. They'll have moments where it's smooth for a time, but those are few and far between. It's not just like when I land or when I take off. It's, running across a field, expect, every 30 yards stutter, 30 yards of clear, 30 yards of stutter. It's bad. I could not record while playing it at all, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
No, not a chance. So that really killed a lot of the momentum of the game, too.
Yeah.
That's all just the technical issues of the game. Obviously, it has plenty of issues beyond that.
Yeah, and I think, the technical stuff has definitely been kind of like really discussed in other venues. But
So far,
yeah,
the
like
Arkham Knight of the Year for a PC release.
Yeah.
I'd say.
But
So-
it was crashing on PS4 and stuff too, right?
oh
It
yeah,
was
I mean,
having
it had
issues.
its fair
Yeah.
share of issues, but I mean, like you could sit down and play it pretty reliably day one. In PC, that was not the case at all, but yeah, so I mean that was a big ordeal. But then also too, yeah, like when it came to actual game content versus what was kind of promised from Sean Murray, that was a little, it didn't quite line up all the way, you know. People within the first, the first 4 or 5 days found each other, like found the same planet and discovered that there was no true multiplayer to the game.
I think it was the first day.
Yeah, right. They were told that they couldn't
Yeah.
do it, and it feels like that was almost fear mongering because they obviously could do it. They figured out a way to
Oh
do
yeah,
it pretty quick.
Yeah, no problem. So I mean, so there's that, and then also too, like, just the comparison video between the E3 trailer and the
dinosaur
derpy
one?
harmonica, the
Yeah.
dinosaur,
No.
just the derpy dinosaur. Yeah, like really, like when you boil the game down to like its core essence is basically like you are going to a planet, and this planet is going to have this kind of biome, and it's going to have this type of tree and this type of bush, and it's a checklist all the way down the line. And yeah, there wasn't enough variety in the gameplay in terms of like I suppose like drive, or like something that the player needs to aspire to do, or or even the lack thereof. Like if somebody was to just want to go and explore this universe, it didn't feel robust enough to keep someone's attention
with enough variety in the planets and what they would see.
Yeah,
Like
Even with variety, like you could have something have a lot of variety, and for a game like No Man's Sky where it's based on exploration, yeah, that would give it a little more longevity. But it's the fact that it's so like every single system in the game is just shy of being like what you would want it to be. Like the inventory is just shy.
it's almost there, and
It's almost there, and then the like upgrades and stuff, they're just like it's just right there and not reaching good.
yeah.
Yeah, it was space by numbers. No Man's Sky, like you can
Truly
see. We all know it was
piss
randomly generated, but it was generated. It's so easy to see the pattern. To see, drop pod over there, single dude. Apparently, people don't ever hang out in pairs in space. Single dude,
Yeah.
one of 3 races who was gonna say the same general conversation no matter what. It had no depth to it.
Oh, and then also the fact that when you go to monoliths and stuff like that, regardless of which ones you discover, you get the exact same narrative
Yeah,
in order.
it's like a Mad Lib paragraph with details.
No, it's like
Oh, whoa.
you go to a monolith and it's like the first one is always like the weird things that swarm you, and you can either like sit through them or not, and then the second one is like
Wow.
it's like every time you discover a monolith, it doesn't matter what monolith you go to, or like if it's one of those ones, or like where it is or how you found it, it's always going to be the same progression every time.
The first one is always A, the second one is always B,
Yeah.
the third one. Wow.
That's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
and I don't hate the game. Like we were just talking about reviews. I prefer probably 5-star reviews, and I would give it probably a 3, leaning closer to a 2 than a 4. So I don't hate it. There's things about the game that are interesting. Like I think it is an interesting game for the game industry.
Yeah.
I know I got a lot of people excited about games that usually don't. Ashley, for example, a friend of ours, plays nothing but MOBA games. She freaked out when it was first shown off and stuff, just talking about how cool video games are. So I think there's some cool things with No Man's Sky. But man, did it fall flat. Like I don't want to sound like we completely hate this. Like we wouldn't call this the worst game of the year by any means. But it might be one of the biggest disappointments of the year. And we didn't expect it to be the last game we ever played, like everyone else seemed to. We expected it to be a cool exploration game. Like we're the type of people who played Dear Esther or The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, things of that nature. And this game's not even close to even just a walking simulator. It's I don't know. It's almost insulting in a sense. Like they just should have done a little more.
Yeah, and it kind of makes me wonder, kind of like, and we talked about this a little earlier, but like it makes me wonder if this was something like they were missing more to this game, or like were they kind of forced to get this out like quickly? Because I mean, like Sony was pushing super hard on like the advertising, and like they endorsed them like crazy, and also like the fan base of No Man's Sky just completely just went way too far with this game, and like, you know, so it kind of like all these different pressures of like, we need to, you know, release this game, and, you know, also, you know, trying to get all these different systems built into it. Like, it kind of feels like they just at some point were like, okay, we got to ship it like it is, and, you know, we'll have to deal with that. Like, I don't know. I wonder if it's a little more of that, or because they had so many different things promised for the game, and it didn't even come close to, you know, what they were.
And it's not even the promises that they didn't do as much as how poor of a job they did on the things they did deliver.
Yeah.
Like, none of those things do what they do best. Like, Cody was mentioning the inventory and finding additional inventory slots. Like, that's the point of the game almost, is to get more inventory. Like, we have, they have us playing a character who is extremely nerfed. It just feels like crap. How could anyone be exploring space with, like, 9 inventory slots? And they have that because they want you to feel depowered so you can get more powerful. But power in this game isn't abilities or things. Power in this game is nothing more than more inventory slots and maybe a bigger ship model. But that's it. Like, that's the end game. And we haven't talked. I don't think any of us have beat it. I don't know if any of us are going to beat it. I don't know if we want to talk about the ending here. But I do know the ending.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. Like, I know people who loved No Man's Sky, and then they beat the game, and they're talking about it like we are. The ending is bad.
So do you end up beating the game when you get to the center of the universe, and that's when you see the ending? Or
Yes, that's when the ending happens. Yeah. The ending.
Is it? It's not like
air quotations.
Oh god! So it's I'm picturing like Planet of the Apes. It was Earth the whole time.
Oh, it's bad.
Like, it's not gonna have Charlton Heston shaking his fist in the air.
The game's been out for a few weeks. I don't know if we want to spoil it quite yet, but if you're not gonna beat this game, YouTube the ending, because it's so bad that you need to see it.
Yep.
Like, it's that bad.
Man, I will probably watch that after this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm too curious now.
And I will play a little bit of the devil's advocate in saying that, like, it was an extremely small dev team working on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's kind of
touching on.
I felt like you were going there.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to say that we don't hate this game and stuff like that, because it was 5 people. They got their studio flooded.
It was 5?
It was like 5 or 6.
I thought it was like 12.
No, it was
maybe
small.
it started off 5 or 6, and they increased it after Sony jumped in. But there's a number of things.
Either way,
they were
probably
strong
count their
armed
team
into
on
the
2
Video
hands.
Game Awards.
Yeah.
There was a whole bunch of factors that did not work for them.
Yep. And, like, all of us are people who, we don't ever want games to be bad. Like, who would want to do that? And it's just like, you know, you see a game coming out, even if it's one you're not interested in, and you're just crossing your fingers that it's going to be terrible. Like, that is just such a... Why have that attitude? Like, why would you...
And we weren't that with No Man's Sky.
Yeah, and so, like, even if No Man's Sky didn't end up fulfilling expectations or being, like, the game that it wanted to be, and judging by his smile, I think Josh is watching the ending right now.
Oh, no, I'm not watching it. The dev studio is only 4 people.
4 people.
Whoa.
Yep.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yep. It's a small...
Man, that's a
small
great
studio.
game for 4 people.
Right?
Jeez.
But it's all ratio, because is that game 4 times as good as Undertale?
Oh, snap.
4 times as good as Stardew Valley.
Yeah. I mean,
But,
we
I
are
mean-
getting to an age where people can do incredible things.
That is true.
Technically, it is. It's incredible before people could do that technically.
Yeah.
But we don't just love games for their
Ooh.
technicality.
But-
I wonder how much it would be reflective of the 4 people dev team if you took away the, you know, whatever quintillion planets that were procedurally generated and made it one game. Then how much would it feel like 4 people made this game?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's almost like a beautiful system, not a beautiful game.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, to just wrap up what I was to get back to and wrap up what I was going on about is it's just we all want good games. We don't want bad games. Even I'm not someone who plays sports titles. I still want every new Madden release to be good because some people like football games. They deserve a good game, even if it's not one that I'm playing. So I would love to see No Man's Sky get improved and become an amazing game that, you know, people would be proud of, specifically the dev team would be proud of and everything like that. And they've already done a whole lot of more work than I have ever done making a game. So
Yeah,
I mean,
well, we can
like,
say
it's-
that about almost everything we
yeah.
talk about.
So I mean, like, you know, that's why it's just like, you know, hey, cool, I could criticize you, but also like you're doing something that I have no idea even how you would even start. So it's just I want it to be good, and I mean it didn't hit the mark this time, and it's unfortunate, but hopefully it doesn't turn people off of ambitious ideas or something that is not normal. The worst thing about this is that I'm afraid Sony will never finance another quote-unquote risk.
I see. Okay, so first off, it's sold like gangbusters.
Oh, this game sold a lot.
Really?
It's sold like
Okay.
crazy.
They're-
The percentage drop was enormous, but that's because it was an enormous percentage to drop from.
Okay.
So yeah, but and then also on just the idea, kind of the hate train, I guess a little bit here towards No Man's Sky. I had a really interesting question that I wanted to bring up in regards to No Man's Sky. And it's a little unfair to the other game, but it's because it's not out yet. But that's a major part of this game's storyline. Which would you rather be the lead developer on?
Star Citizen.
Yes. Starbound, Star Citizen, or No Man's Sky. Now, why is that?
The reason why
'Cause-
is because I'm actually interested in Star Citizen. Like, I have
I
interest.
think
That's
you and possibly Josh and other people here who are in Star Citizen have a lot more patience. Because
Yeah.
right now, if I went and pulled the industry,
Oh,
even just like right
nobody
now,
wants
No
to
Man's Sky is
be-
in vogue.
Yeah.
Star Citizen is mud in the industry
Yeah,
right now.
nobody wants to
like,
be leading
they got
that
a
game.
little bit of life in them with Gamescom and like their new alpha
showing-
stuff they
yeah.
showed.
Well, that
like,
but why? Because it's thank you for showing us some gameplay
Some more
after
stuff.
5 years of taking all of our money. Like it's not a.
it's more of like a year over year. It seems like every year at Gamescom they release new,
You get to
some
see
new
a little
stuff.
bit.
They
so-
get a small little morsel
Yep.
and everybody gobbles it up real quick, and then they're like, "Okay, where's more content?" And they're
Well,
like,
and
working
the
on
reason
it.
why I brought this up is because at Gamescom, very slight. It's not anything to really to hold on to too much. But the guys behind who was showing off Star Citizen made a slight jab at No Man's Sky. Obviously, it's easy to jab at. But No Man's Sky shipped. It came out within a few years of us even finding out it exists, and we found out that it has 5 people. These 5 people were 4 people. These 4 people were lucky to get money from Sony, sure, but had 4 people, and they found out how to back up a game the normal standard way. Star Citizen, what's its excuse, honestly? Like, especially
Well, I
like
gotta
being in charge
say-
of a team.
Sorry, my ass came in real hard. I gotta say that Star Citizen's ambitions were way like astronomically off the charts, like even more so than No Man's Sky ever was. And like when we first heard about it, it was like, oh, how can they do the 18 quintillion planets? But then they came out that it was just all procedurally generated. Like Star Citizen, it does have like every system that you go to does have that developer touch. Everything is placed exactly where it needs to be, sort of thing. And that's not I wouldn't assume that to like the entire planet as a whole, but it does have like planetary exploration.
Because on the thing they showed, I expect Star Citizen to be a better game than No Man's Sky, or at least I hope it to be. After all this time, and No Man's Sky not being exactly a super high bar, we found out. But like the planet they showed me looked pretty as bleak as a No Man's Sky planet. It was nothing but grayness. I mean, I love the ship and a lot of the tech involved there, but nothing I saw in that made me go like, oh, this no wonder it's taking them so long. This game's so much better than No Man's Sky. It looked like No Man's Sky.
Yeah, and it's just more of like the thing they're showcasing with that particular show was just the station itself and like how like alive and living the station was, and like the planet itself, like there's literally nothing else on that planet. It should just be like Gamescom demo planet. So Cody's got his finger up in the hair.
Yep.
Here.
I think the big difference is I feel like a lot of people that would look to Star Citizen now after No Man's Sky are going to be looking for the wrong reasons, because Star Citizen is less No Man's Sky and more EVE Online.
Yeah.
So the people that don't like EVE might not like Star Citizen, but Josh and I, we're going to fucking love Star Citizen.
No,
because I love playing a
I don't-
spreadsheet.
I was gonna say I don't know your guys' history, but I feel like you guys like the concept of EVE Online more than you actually like putting time into that game.
I think everybody likes the concept of EVE
If I could
Online.
play EVE Online as a job, that's what I would do.
I've never you guys never play. I never hear you guys talk about EVE or anything.
It's
I never
because I'm
have.
poor.
Yeah,
But
And
I have
I've
played it.
tried. I like the concept of EVE. No way. No
Eve
way.
Eve is one of those things where it's such a tremendous investment of time, and also to like where Star Citizen kind of outshines Eve in terms of, for me, is that there's also more aspects to Star Citizen. I need that Twitch kind of gameplay, so we got the first person shooter and all that, like the squad based stuff. But then if you want to take it into corporations or mining companies, I don't know how robust it. Yeah.
See, that's the issue. I brought up the question because it's more who would you rather be the developer in charge of, because those are all just promises. Those are all just things they're telling us we're going to get. And up until a month ago, we could have said the exact same thing about No Man's Sky. So it's like, the only thing is Star Citizen, by the time Star Citizen comes out, like how many years in the oven?
I mean, it got kickstarted in 2012, so yeah, it's been there for a while.
It's getting close to like the last Guardian level.
The other thing too, I don't know if you ever checked out their website, but they've detailed everything that they're doing, like in terms of like their development, like all the way through like different systems and like their mining stuff. Like they do have like point for point like what they plan to do, and yeah, it's not in the game yet, but at the very least, like you can see actually at like the ground level the plan. And so it's I don't know. Star Citizen could certainly come out and be a tremendous flop or nowhere near the mark that we previously anticipated the game to be.
Well, I bet No Man's Sky in the first month outsells Star Citizen.
Oh yeah, and that I think that's also its
just
install
different.
Base.
Yeah,
as well too.
They're just different.
Yeah. Well,
like Ashley's not talking about Star Citizen.
Yeah, also demographic.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And I almost find it was until the guy at Gamescom made a jab at No Man's Sky. My idea towards the comparison of these games was almost laughable that they were ever compared, because they felt so, especially after No Man's Sky had come out, it felt so different than what I kind of thought it was back when it was first announced, and back when we used to compare them, because they felt like contemporaries then. So vastly different. So this conversation wouldn't have happened unless he did that little jab. I was like, to me, it's like from an industry perspective, their game came out.
Yeah,
dude,
and,
their game's going to be here by 2020.
Like Star Citizen is going to have their Squadron 42 single player aspect, but most of it is, as far as longevity, as far as the game goes, is going to be the persistent universe, which I treat more like an MMO than a single player game. No Man's Sky is meant to be a single player experience, so it's like you said, it's very hard to compare the two.
Yeah,
it feels like
they will be.
Yeah, it feels like the guy kind of like stoked the flames or kicked the hornet's nest when he didn't need to, because you are making two relatively different feeling games.
Well, they've been compared to from the start.
But mostly by people,
exactly.
Mostly by people like us and not the developers, though, and everything like that. And so, like, it just felt like something brought up that he didn't need to bring up. The main reason why I haven't checked out No Man's Sky or anything like that is like, I can't remember if maybe this was my own idea that I was projecting onto the game, or if this was something that was said that just made me think of this. But one of the things I thought was going to be interesting about No Man's Sky was you're flying around in your own version of the universe, but you can meet and see other people's effects on the same universe. Like you can have some sort of limited social interaction, not just see resources that have been mined, but something that they have made. You can actually see their ship and everything like that.
I think resources that have been mined actually turned out to be a fallacy.
Yeah.
But I think the naming would be shown.
And then the other thing...
And also, too, recently, Redditors have also posted that their home planets that they've gone to, the names have totally been wiped.
Yeah.
So,
names so nothing is true.
But then the other thing I thought was going to be in the game as well was that...
We're going to wrap this up pretty quick, too, because we've been on this for a bit.
All right, so... the other thing I thought was going to happen is that you're playing in your own version of the universe, someone else is playing in their version of the universe. I thought you would be able to visit each other. Like going from my Terraria world to your Terraria world, going from my Minecraft planet to your Minecraft planet. And it turns out that's not the case, so it kind of dropped interest for me. And there's another game that is still in early access doing this called Boundless. It used to be Ort Online. But basically, it's like Minecraft, where you go through a Stargate, and now you're visiting someone else's Minecraft world. That's what I thought No Man's Sky was going to be. Turns out it wasn't. So that's mainly why I didn't fall through and pick it up and everything.
No wonder I haven't been hearing anything about Ort Online.
Yeah, they changed the name. I found that out the other day, too. Just like that. All right, so that's all I want to say.
Yeah. All right. Well, Cain, you're still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. We can all agree that we all would like to see games we would like to see games succeed, and we'd like to really, we don't ever want to dog a game or get down on it.
We will,
unless it's. So not so much like, not so much like make a predetermined, decision of like, oh, I'm gonna hate this game because
we'll be critical, but we will also be optimistic.
Then you say something like Metal Gear Survive.
Bum, bum, bum. That's a good. That was a
great segue.
I thought you were saying we were wrapping up, Josh. Not talking for another
3 hours. If Kojima Okay, so I guess we need to assume that the audience hasn't seen everything we've seen. So
don't know anything about it.
Or the Tommy hasn't seen it either. So there we go.
Yeah.
How about Cain? Cain, take it away.
Yep.
Take it away.
Cain looks like he has something to say.
Sort of. Metal Gear Solid 5 was a great game. I want to say that right now. That gameplay, everything about that game I loved to death. I've loved Metal Gear for a long time. I think pretty much all of us have a lot of respect for Kojima.
I'm wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah, you are. So all the stuff that
earlier, it's fine.
So all the stuff that happened with Konami and Kojima kind of put a bad taste in everyone's mouth, right?
Yeah.
The perspective from us is that Konami kind of fucked Kojima over. Who knows what really happened, but that's kind of what everybody thinks. Mm-hmm. So Konami comes out and says, we're not going to make Metal Gear games anymore. Fuck that Kojima.
Well, no, that's not true. They said they were going to do one more.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they said, we got one more Metal Gear game.
And this wasn't the slot machine, Pachinko machine. This was going to be a legitimate video game.
Yeah, they said that, like, before he took off, they said, we've got one more game coming out for Metal Gear. Okay. Don't you worry.
All right.
Oh, God.
So people were already kind of like, well, Kojima's not going to be there. How good is this going to be? I don't know. This is scary. And then last week or whatever, Konami comes out and says, hey, how would you guys like a Metal Gear game that's like, has zombies and is loaded with microtransactions, probably.
I was
so that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like,
so you say zombies, that's not scary. You say loaded with microtransactions, that's where the horror aspect of the
So the trailer starts off with you're seeing Metal Gear Solid 5. You see Miller. You see, I believe you see Big Boss.
Josh is
well.
triggered.
Oh, you see everything.
Yeah. They're flying away in a helicopter.
This is the end of Ground Zeroes. By the way.
And they're flying away in a helicopter, and that's all you see of them. Because then we focus on our new characters, who are just nobodies. Someone you probably Fultoned to the base, and
people that were Fultoned to the base, and now we're Left 4 Dead.
And then they get sucked into a giant warp hole and are put in, we assume, a different dimension. Now, the warp things are canon. They are the final upgrade in your base.
They are.
So let that be said.
Yeah, like zombies and wormholes and the whole Metal Gear thing. Isn't that crazy?
I was going to say, and then
they're like a half step away from the skulls.
Skulls. They were pretty much zombies.
Half step away.
So that's not exactly why a lot of this stuff is weird. It's mainly the Kojima storyline here and the fact that this feels like a waste of the Metal Gear name. But I would argue that everyone's all up in arms about this game and enraged and super pissed off. It's going to be a budget game. It's going to be, $40, I want to say, things of that nature, $30 maybe. If you remove the Kojima storyline, this is Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City.
Yeah.
And nobody was that pissed about that. We rolled our eyes, why aren't we getting a legitimate Resident Evil game? But because this is a Konami and because of the Kojima storyline, we're pissed. Now, if Kojima was still there, we might not be as excited about this game, but I think it would be put on our map. It would be, hey, I can't wait till that comes out.
Let's not forget that Metal Gear Acid exists.
I was going to say,
there you go.
But
yes,
and Revengeance.
Yeah, I was also going to say, because I also don't know much about it, but from what I hear, it sounds like Will Survive be like multiplayer.
Yeah, focused.
Okay, so here's my bit. Is it going to be more like Resident Evil? I already forgot what you said. Or is it going to be
Operation Raccoon City?
Or is it going to be more like Resident Evil fucking Outbreak?
They're both bad.
Yeah,
and they're both the same general
Outbreak
thing.
is especially bad.
They're probably going to be closer to Outbreak, but
yeah. So eventually, it's going to be $70.
So here's the question: more than anything, we just all said how much we don't like it. We don't like Konami, especially. Are you giving Konami money when this game comes out?
Boy.
It has the Metal Gear Solid 5 game engine.
Let's roll it back a little bit here. Because I got a thing to say about this. I honestly think they could have done... all they had to do was just pen out the Metal Gear and put anything else on it, and it would have been
like you could have called it Contra
game.
I feel that way about Assassin's
Creed. Oh my
Creed
god, it
Black
could have
Flag
been Contra.
Yeah.
It could have.
Contra survived.
Interesting.
Fucking boom.
They showed us the sea like a few years ago. Remember that?
Yeah, we did, and then nothing.
And Contra 4 turned into a slot machine.
Yeah, so I mean, jeez, man.
But it will sell way more, and we would be talking about it right now if it wasn't Metal Gear.
Hey, we'd be talking about Contra maybe.
Okay, Contra.
I like Contra.
New IP
so
though.
If they put a non familiar IP name on it, people wouldn't pay for it. Like
That's true.
That's what sucks.
They are
it also
banking
tells
on
us
people
it's
buying
using the Metal Gear
Gear
Solid
and not
5
the
game engine.
Yeah, which, okay, that's totally cool. Like, the Fox engine is awesome, and I would love to see more games on the Fox engine. I just don't know. It
feels super dirty.
Yeah, it is. It's dirty pool.
Yeah, if
It's
this
such an interesting thing, but it feels so dirty.
I mean, I know it's a cash grab, but I mean, when it comes to the game, doesn't matter how much I enjoy Metal Gear, you kind of already lose me at loading it up with microtransactions.
Which we don't know.
that's not confirmed.
Yeah,
I can
but the
just
way that Metal
there's
Gear
a lot
Solid
of stuff.
5
Like the
went.
4-player.
Yeah.
just feels that way.
Yeah.
The
The
way the Metal Gear...
the fingers, the feely
Oh,
fingers.
Yeah,
just-
it's got the sticky
Yeah,
fingers.
if you stuck with Metal Gear Solid 5 and paid attention to the online
Oh, no,
and
I
how
heard
they
about-
patched that game
I heard about
afterward.
insurance. I heard about, when I
Oh.
play that game, I want to play it offline. With
As
the
soon as
patch.
Kojima was not getting a paycheck anymore, that game got real slimy.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. So,
Super sad.
But with that said, if Metal Gear Solid Survive comes out and is a fun game, and it all represents or plays similarly to Metal Gear Solid 5, I will buy it and play it.
It will have the Metal Gear Solid 5 game engine, and it will have very poor general gameplay built around that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it will be something that 4 people can do together. And yeah, I probably will too. But it doesn't feel right? Don't you want to make a stance? Don't you want to make a statement?
I do want to do that.
Yeah.
However,
right?
I don't want to say that if this game turns out to be really good, that I'm not going to buy it out of some self-righteousness.
Yeah, right. And
You know? Like, I have respect for Kojima and all that stuff, but if this game... People are still working on this game. There are other people who are still
That's true.
dedicated
Yeah, that's
and
really
spending their
true.
time and feeding their families to make this game happen.
Nope, just Kojima.
Like, he did everything.
That's a really good point.
It's actually the Fat Cats. They came down to the game studio and they're learning how to code.
Yeah.
That's why the gameplay is going to be a little hard.
Picturing a cat Milo.
So,
yeah, and that's an interesting point, this is interesting, I don't think you can take, any other game series and, put it in the same scenario and, be as cutthroat, because Hideo's not doing this, I'm not endorsing this. Or, the general mindset.
I think the reason for that is because since Metal Gear Solid 1, when we were all in, elementary school or middle school or whatever, when that game, the first thing that you see is the music and and it's just like Hideo Kojima. You're like, oh, that's a Japanese name. He must be the main guy.
He must be really
And then
good.
it just keeps happening
You
and
just
happening.
keep seeing that name over and over
he just
again.
loves to tell us
But-
how
and
much he made that
Psycho
game.
Mantis starts screwing with the TV and then the
Yeah.
Hideo signal comes up and
So Kojima's a bit of a narcissist, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
He just wants us always to be talking about.
certainly.
But how much involvement did he have in Metal Gear Rising?
Kojima's Japanese Kanye.
Just based on Metal Gear?
I'm not sure. I think that
Metal Gear
because-
Rising?
Yeah.
I don't think he had any involvement
Because
at all. That was all
honestly-
Platinum Games.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
they
more
could-
interested in playing Metal Gear Rising because of Platinum Games than I am Kojima. So if
But I would
Survive
think-
is good,
I would think he had
Is it
something
like-
to do with at least riding in the direction they'd go with there. He loves riding.
Originally,
Yeah.
it didn't. It was so. Originally, when it first came out, he said it was non-canon
yeah.
at all. But then eventually, just backstepped on it. I guess
Game
at
turned out
some
to be
point.
good.
So
Yeah,
like,
the original game.
but yeah, like
Looked
when the
completely
game
different.
launched. Yeah,
Yeah.
when the game launched, it was non-canon. So
Oh, okay. But that being
the
said, the
bastard
reason why I was the reason why I like Rising and I'm interested in that game isn't because it's Metal Gear. It's because Platinum makes games that I like to play. So if the people working on Survive make a good game and I can enjoy it without having to pay my way through the levels via microtransactions, if I can have fun with friends, that's really all that matters to me and everything like that. And I will support my my adoration for Kojima and the games that he makes by buying Death Stranding when it comes out. Like, it's just...
if it's a good game.
Yeah, if it's a good game, which, I mean, I'm hoping that it is. Like, he's made other good games that are not Metal Gear. So, I mean, he's got a pretty good track record. So,
yeah,
it's kind of safe to say that I'm at least interested in Death Stranding.
Yeah, the Death Stranding thing is so interesting to me because that game is not going to come out anytime soon.
No.
And I'm a little bit upset that they actually announced that game so early. Like, with the whole Kojima thing. I know why they did it. Everyone loves Kojima. Here he is walking out
Konami
on
lost Kojima, but Sony still has
You had
it.
to
Right.
capitalize the moment.
They had to
Here
capitalize the
comes
moment.
Jeff Keighley again with the early announce.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I understand why they did it.
Stupid Jeff Keighley. Just...
But that game may suffer from No Man's Sky syndrome because we're going to hear about it for 5-6 years, and the expectations are going to go through the roof. And then it's going to come out and it's like, oh, well, Kojima didn't have as big of a studio. He didn't have as much money. So it's not as good, and everyone's bummed.
He did survive Metal Gear Solid 4, because, man, that game was not going to live up to all those expectations either.
I was gonna say I would say he's had hype with almost every game, regardless.
Yeah.
So I mean, this obviously is the big storyline, but I mean, they didn't show us gameplay. We don't have anything to hold it. We don't have anything to compare it against, unless they changed Norman Reedus or they changed general concepts of the storyline.
Yeah.
Like if there aren't enough black umbilical cords, stuff like that. But he didn't give us a lot.
Yeah.
Which is true, but when you see like polls online of people being like, "What's your most excited game from E3?" and Death Stranding is like 50%, it's like, dude, you don't even know what that game is.
Yeah, that's video games though. We
It's
always
just-
do that.
Yeah, just the hype culture is just so toxic in
We
that
didn't see
case.
Zelda gameplay finally until recently, but that was
Yeah.
still at the top of everyone's list.
Yeah.
I will say the reason why I'm really interested in that game is because he says that a lot of the games that he's made over the years have been all about fighting and conflict and war. And this time he said he wants to do something different. So I'm like, nice, cool. Inclusiveness, growing a community, it could be anything. But it's nice to see if he'll be able to do something as well as what he's done before, that he's maybe not as... It's nice to see him getting his feet wet doing something else. Because, I mean, sure, the Metal Gear Solid games were interesting, but he had to have been wanting to make something else for years.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And finally getting a chance, it'll be nice.
Well, the amount of times he tried to step away, you know,
Yeah,
as a
and-
creative lead, and then coming back, he's like, "Well, I can't let you do this to my baby."
Yep.
Like Norman Reedus to his fetus.
It's just,
But
I have to keep sneaking that in there.
Many times.
Do you think the baby has a
at any
beard?
point. But you know, so yeah, I think overall, to kind of cap off on the Metal Gear Survive, yeah, like Cain is saying, if it's a good game, it's got good gameplay, or like is like fun multiplayer, yeah, there's absolutely no reason not to pick up this game because it's not Hideo Kojima that's making this Metal Gear Solid game. It's probably gonna burn. It's probably going to hurt real bad when you buy that game, because even still, you can't escape the just knowing that you're not buying a Hideo Kojima Metal Gear game. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it really should be based on its gameplay and the sum of the game, and not.
I don't think it's gonna be very good. Like I expect it to be like a 60 Metacritic game. Like I expect it to be a $40 multiplayer focused survival game.
Yeah.
So, the engine is the thing I keep coming back to.
And if you
I just
can
love
give
that.
Engine
Like,
is so
Metal Gear Solid 5 isn't great for its story. It's
Yeah.
great for its freaking gameplay.
Yeah.
That's why it's so good. So yeah, that's
just
that's
a
what I want.
Left 4 Dead in the Fox engine would be just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
so.
that's what I'm hoping it is.
So yeah. But anyways, yeah, kind of.
Wait, quick question.
Yeah.
What comes out first? Death Stranding or Star Citizen?
Probably
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding.
I
Yeah,
said
Star
both
Citizen's-
come out 2020.
Star Citizen's going to come out when food is in tube form.
Yeah, exactly.
When we are the Star
I'm
Citizen.
gonna be able to play Star Citizen when I'm able to play it on my spaceship in real life.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I love that game, it is suffering a little bit from feature creep.
I think both are like
And-
3 years away, honestly.
Yeah, and
Like, I don't think Death Stranding's going to be out for a long time.
well, when you say Star Citizen, like, there's two ways you can look at it. They are aiming to get their Squadron 42 single player stuff out soon, because they are aware that people are saying these things about them. They hear, you know, all the murmurs and everything like that. They're aware that people are like doubting them and all this other stuff, or calling them thieves and everything like that. They just have thick skin, because you kind of have to when you're being transparent with all your game development and everything like that.
Yeah.
But they want it to come out as much as we do. And then, but even though, like, this is probably a discussion for another time, but it's just one of those things. Chris Roberts has made many games that I've enjoyed over the years. Wing Commander, Freelancer, Starlancer, and all this other stuff. But he is a creative mind, and it is hard for a creative mind to be a director, because you always want to put more stuff in, but then the director is the one crunching the logistics and the time frame and everything like that. Tim Schafer, I love his games. He's also pretty bad as a game director, because he's always wanting to add more. And so
A lot of people say that about Miyamoto.
yeah. And I mean, it's just like, it just happens. It's just some people are good in a creative role and some people are good in more of a managerial role and everything like that. So as much as, even though, like, full disclosure, I've put in $75, you know, for Star Citizen and everything like that already, maybe more going forward, who knows. But even said that, I'm hopeful for the game. I want it to be good. Like I said, we all want the game to be good. But yeah, it would be nice if they stopped adding features and just gave me the stuff just worked on the stuff that they've already told me about, which was more than enough to get my $75 already. Like, they've already got stuff in there that I find interesting. Finish that and then add more later.
I'll check that game out when it's done.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's fine.
That's been my perspective too.
That's fine
I don't
if
mean to bring it
that's-
back up again. Really, they're in a similar boat now.
Yeah.
Death Stranding and Star Citizen. There's a few other things in that boat.
Yeah.
Last
Also-
Guardian, until it actually comes out, is in that boat.
Yeah. There's also
What's
another
that? Oh,
game
Last
that's
Guardian.
in that boat. It seems like it's years off from release at this
Yes.
point in time. Final Fantasy 15 got pushed 2
Oh.
months.
I thought you were going to say Cuphead, but, okay.
Cuphead 2. Cuphead's, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't think we really have to go
So
into it
with
too
Final
much.
Fantasy 15, full
We're gonna go into
disclosure,
it too much.
full disclosure with the listeners and everybody, 3/5 of the cast here work in video game retail. I think it is a huge, huge, huge deal that Final Fantasy 15 got pushed after Black Friday.
That's a massive.
Yeah.
I think that is, and no one's really talking about that. That is huge to me. That is half your sales.
You
I
still get
almost
the-
would go
oh,
as far
yeah.
as
Yeah.
to say
Oh,
they're going to
yeah.
be good in Christmas. I mean, it's not much. It's like November 29th or
Yeah.
something. Like they're just a few days after it. Really, it's still huge.
You're still going to
That's-
be available
There's
as
a reason why so few games, except for maybe World of Warcraft, come out in December, or a Nintendo game
Yeah.
can pull it off. There's a reason for that.
Yeah,
It
like-
hurts you.
You're still able to be available as a present to be purchased for Christmas and everything like that, but everyone does the majority of their shopping, at least in America, on Black Friday. And if you don't have it on Black Friday, you're not going to get it in time for Christmas. No, we'll have it next week, and then they're already out the door. Like, they're already looking for other presents and everything like that.
And
So
I think they
it's a-
know this, so I think that even speaks more volumes about the delay. Like, I think they're fully aware of missing that date, so this delay must have been important, or at least you hope so.
Yeah.
It did not look good at E3.
No, it certainly didn't. And yeah, it's yeah, I think maybe they have like they're going off of like the Final Fantasy name, like maybe like because
Yeah.
obviously there's gonna be people because it's a Final Fantasy game they're gonna buy it, and so but like yeah, seriously, the decision to miss Black Friday was certainly not it wasn't a hasty one.
like
right?
you're gonna get sales from the people who are already going to buy it, but you're not going to get sales from the people who are going to purchase a game out on a wall.
Yeah,
from
and I mean
4 games or something.
this was
like
also a push for making sure that they didn't have a massive day one patch for the game as well too, which is as admirable as that is. Like, I mean, it's hard to tell with the studio like what was going on at the time they made the decision, but yeah, like it had to be severe enough to push a game out 2 months to make sure that it makes a good launch. Specifically saying that they want to make it so that people who don't have an active or like an internet connection can play this game,
that. When they open it Christmas morning or
Which-
Christmas Eve morning or whatever.
if they're at this point still.
See, I'm all for a game, especially a game that I have hope for, like I do with Final Fantasy 15, like I do with every freaking Final Fantasy that ever comes out. I'm all for them delaying to add quality. I hope that the only reason that they delayed this game wasn't to avoid a day one patch. Because, like, when a game gets delayed, I'm usually okay with sitting back. Okay, it's done. I'll be happy when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think a day one patch would be worth that specifically.
Yeah, I suppose it just really depends on the like amount, like what would be like a quality control, I suppose, in the patch versus like I don't know how much work actually still needs to be done on this game, and
Yeah.
hopefully these 2 months they get it done.
Hopefully they're increasing the overall quality of the entire game, but at the same time, if they need a day one patch for a completely single player game to make it even function, that's a pretty big deal.
Function,
Yeah.
sure, but do we think it's at that point?
I don't know, it's hard to say.
That's
Yeah.
just the question.
but
This is-
the fact that they delayed it after Black Friday makes me think that it is that
It
way.
could have,
Yeah.
Just on the concept of day one patches, I feel like there's this huge kind of black mark the internet and people have against them, and they're not the best. They kind of suck, sure, but they're not like we should delay in regards to that. That's my only thing.
Yeah.
Is I don't people just view day one patches right now as some true evil of video games when I think it's really just a reality. It's just a thing. I mean, people need to get over it. I think because it's not going anywhere.
Sometimes mistakes are found after you've already shipped.
Yeah, because even
yes.
when they ship even a game that doesn't get a day one patch, they continue working on the game.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Way after
Yeah,
the disc
like
are
would
starting to
you
be printed.
rather have
Yeah,
a
the
broken
game-
game that bricks your system, or would you rather have download a day one patch? I would rather download a day one patch.
the game goes gold, and then what? They just sit there and do nothing until the game is finished manufacturing.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. Let's just
They're-
sit here
I
and wait
feel like
until we
this
cash the
entire
checks.
generation of consoles is going to when we get to the end of it and look back at it, you could almost sum up the entire generation in, oh yeah, that's the generation of consoles that they wanted to have internet, and they took it away, and they never really figured that out. Because that's what it feels. It feels like from the very beginning, we've been bashing our head against that these console makers and the game developers really wanted to be able to rely on internet, and people freaked out. So
to
they weren't able
deliver
to do
things
it.
like
So now we're living in this
patches,
half-assed world of no internet sometimes, internet sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think that's been the whole issue with console gaming for a while now.
It's
with
pretty jerky.
stuff like that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's hopefully the delay itself. It definitely improves the quality of the game. And then gets us so that it's in a more playable state once it releases.
What are
November 28th, I believe, is that day.
What are our expectations personally for Final Fantasy 15? Like, what around the table? Like, what do you guys truly expect from it?
I'm pretty hopeful. I really like just playing like the demo that they put out, which looked like more of like a hey, advanced time and goof with the game's engine and all that stuff. But the combat and all that, like I'm totally cool with the way the game plays. I've always been kind of a big fan of Kingdom Hearts, and it plays very similarly to that. So like I'm pretty on board with that.
It's the same director, right?
I think initially. I don't know if he's on it anymore. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
That game's been in development for like 10 years.
Yeah, the game's been in development since it was Final Fantasy
13
versus 13.
Yeah. So
I remember seeing a trailer at E3 of like some dude sitting coming out of a building with all Sephiroth floating swords or something like that with cops shooting guns. I don't know. It was very weird.
But overall, like I'm pretty hopeful for it. I'm actually more excited for this Final Fantasy than I think I've ever been, or not ever been, but more excited for this Final Fantasy than I have been for other Final Fantasy games since
9.
Well, since 10.
10 was the last one I really liked.
Yeah. So I mean, like, pretty much. I'm ready to check it out. I think I'm gonna enjoy it. But, also to, I don't know. I can't help but feel pretty, cautious.
You're teetering towards
I'm pretty excited.
Positive, but still on the fence, but leaning towards.
Yes. I mean, I'll definitely pick it up when it comes out.
Yeah,
but
like I'm probably the same way.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the first times where the gameplay is compelling me more to play a Final Fantasy game than the story. Because I don't really know a whole lot of the story. And
you haven't been following the anime or the movie or...
Whoa!
Oh, man.
Kingsglaive.
Yeah.
Anime...
Dude, they have a whole...
Yeah, apparently I have not been following the anime of the movie.
movie.
It just came out in theaters like within the last couple weeks.
Wait,
the 30th is
theaters.
Yeah.
Okay. Dang.
So,
But
it's not supposed to be very good.
Oh, well,
Shocker.
okay, then I don't.
Because they have such
that.
a strong history of animated movies.
Yeah, but like when it comes down to it, I'm kind of also glad that I'm leaving myself in the dark as the story. So I mean, at least it'll be newish or something like
very
that.
fresh.
Four dudes on a road trip.
And the the combat, like I haven't played much Kingdom Hearts and everything like that. I played a little bit of 1 and 2 and everything like that, but one of the reasons why I enjoyed some of the Star Ocean games was the more active combat where you were actually controlling your character, similar to like Tales of Symphonia and stuff like that. So I enjoy menu-based combat, turn-based combat, ATB battle system and everything like that. It'll be nice to play something in a Final Fantasy game that's a little bit new and fresh and everything like that. It just would have been nice if they showed that off with a more interesting boss fight. It feels like, a fight with multiple monsters would have been more interesting than the boss fight that they showed off.
Square has never made a non-turn-based game that would go in my top 50. They've made a ton of turn-based games that would.
Vagrant story for me, but
you
can kind of play that.
I keep wanting 13 I'm so hopeful for. Even the MMOs I get hopeful for slightly, they never do it. I love the chocobos, I love the world, I love so many things about Final Fantasy, but I worry that when they stepped away from the combat, that they lost me, maybe not the gaming industry, but me. I'm super hopeful for 15, but if I was a betting man, I would not bet it would be in my top 10 at the end of the year. I expect to be disappointed. I hope I'm wrong. Like I don't think I could think of a single game in the last half of this year that I want to be more wrong on. Like I would love it to be like Game of the Year content. But I don't know if they got it in them anymore.
Yeah.
I hope they do. I really hope they do. But it's been too long. Final Fantasy X was a long time ago.
Touching on that.
12.
Yeah, 12.
Yeah, and 12 was a fun game. Didn't grab me. And that's also when they started to change the combat.
Yeah,
that's your Gambit system. So
the Gambit system.
What
You
do you
either
feel
loved it or you hated it.
There, Cain.
I'm excited for it. I've been into Final Fantasy for a really long time. Final Fantasy, as like Cameron was saying, we grew up with those games. I love them. I love I really love them. But I played the demo for 15 that came out what was that, a year ago, maybe?
It came out
Not even that long ago.
Well,
Type
it came
Zero,
with Type
right?
Zero, yeah.
Okay, so not quite a year. But that was fun. The combat was fun. The boss battle at the end was incredible. You do a summon thing, spoilers for the demo.
Was it the same boss battle in the E3 demo?
No,
or different?
completely different. You fight a behemoth.
Oh, okay.
And it's amazing.
It's a lot. Okay.
Yeah, you summon Ramu at the end of the demo.
Nice.
Oh, all right.
It's really, really cool. And that game, that got me super excited. But yeah, the demo they showed at E3 was not exciting.
No.
Yeah.
Every demo they showed at E3 that involved large boss fights.
Dude,
sucked.
I am super pumped for Scalebound.
Yeah, that's what I was
Boss
kind of
fight was
referencing
not
there.
like everyone's dogging on that game for the voice acting. It's going to have super dumb voice acting. That's one of the reasons why I'm going to enjoy it. They should have chosen a better part of the game.
Yeah, I'm saying reserve for that game. I could see it being really cool, and I really like Hideki Kamiya.
Yeah.
He's an amazing game director, but
I'm crossing my fingers for a Vanquish version of Phantasy Star Online. We'll see if that actually happens.
What I've seen for Scalebound just feels empty.
Yeah.
It feels like it's not going to be as tight as Vanquish or something like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, just generally as well too. I mean, obviously, this is all kind of pre-release gameplay footage, but yeah, it seems like they've only really focused on the large boss battle, and the points in between just seem just like a lot of running / flying and
Empty space.
Yeah, to me, it looks like a mix between Devil May Cry and Monster Hunter.
yeah. So, Cody, any thoughts on 15?
I absolutely love action RPGs, but I'm extremely tired of playing Final Fantasy games. I feel like even if it's a really good game, I'm going to play it for maybe a couple weeks and then get tired of it because it's really hard for me to justify wanting to play. I don't know. All of my favorite action RPGs have come from Square, Secret of Mana, Secret of Evermore, Secret of Mana.
It's just they've come from a non-Final Fantasy
Mario
series.
RPG.
And
Squaresoft, especially.
in terms of the
Dark
serialization, Dark Cloud, that's good. That's level 5 though.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's level 5, right?
I know. I'm stepping outside.
And then Kingdom Hearts. I love the Kingdom Hearts games. I love Kingdom Hearts 1, but I actually I feel like this is not necessarily an unpopular opinion, but I feel like it kind of is that I fucking hated Kingdom Hearts 2. And I feel like Final Fantasy 15 is going to go the way of Kingdom Hearts 2, where Kingdom Hearts 1, for a certain degree, if you play on a hard enough difficulty, is you actually have to counterattack, and you have to block, and you have to give a shit when you're fighting. Whereas when you played Kingdom Hearts 2, it was just look at the flashy colors, spam X a lot, and everything dies. You'll auto move to enemies. Oh, it's so fun. It's like playing a monk in Diablo 3 when it first came out. It was you just press the attack button and you just move
What's that
around.
supposed to mean?
It was really fucking bad.
Wow, shots fired.
I think we see that happen with RPGs a lot, actually. I think a
Yeah.
lot of times a game will come out and they know who their demographic is. Say Kingdom Hearts 1 comes out, and sure, you got Disney characters in there, but who can they bank on at that time? They can bank on the Final Fantasy people. So they kept it a little more, lack of a better word, hardcore. But then, we all know what the Kingdom Hearts fan base is like.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like a step down from the fucking Sonic.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too hateful here.
Yeah. So then they
Quit ruining my childhood.
They embrace Kingdom Hearts 1, and that reflects in Kingdom Hearts 2. We saw that also with Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 2 is a better game. Mass Effect 1 is way more of an RPG. When an RPG gets successful, more likely than not, its sequel loses RPG elements.
Yep.
It sucks.
The Elder Scrolls does the exact same thing.
Yep. Clockwork.
Mm-hmm.
Still good games, but
Yeah.
they're definitely not as RPG.
However, I do enjoy the no longer hidden die rolls and attacks in Elder Scrolls games. Man, that was annoying.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean
Cool, for no reason.
Oh, yeah.
Like Morrowind, I suppose, playing it back in the day.
The arrow hit him and he didn't take any damage.
Yeah,
I
you
think-
swing the axe and nothing happens.
Well, I think the
That's
thing
how it
would
works in
be-
D&D, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But
The arrow hits him, and then you roll.
I think it would be. I think a game like Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls, a game like the Elder Scrolls could benefit from, and Final Fantasy could probably benefit from this as well. Final Fantasy does this, and so did Kingdom Hearts, which is having skill-based attacks, and then based off of the precision of the attack and the timing, combined with your player stats, increases the modifier, and then there's a marginal die roll. It's not 0 to this number. It's you do in between this amount of damage, like a classic, RPG, where it's you get Baldur's Gate, and it's this weapon does 15 to fucking 20 damage. You're going to get somewhere in there plus your modifiers. I like it when
Scale to
games
their
do
skill.
that. and then the attacks, like whether or not the hit is based off skill.
Yeah,
That is
like,
the best. That's where it is for me.
There's a hidden die roll, but if you're good enough, it will negate any sort of like negative impact of that die roll and everything like that. Yep.
To a certain degree, yeah.
It's just, it felt really annoying being high level in Daggerfall and Morrowind and still just be like, well, I hope luck is on my side.
Yeah. You
Sounds like
charge up a
bats.
super powerful attack, you swing it, and it just...
Yep. Yep. You're just like, well, that didn't work. Cool. Now I'm dead.
Yep. So overall, it sounds like we're all pretty hopeful for Final Fantasy 15. Obviously, would like to see it succeed and be awesome because it would be really cool.
Ultraxion from Final Fantasy 6 is in it, so it's got that going for it.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go. I did have one thing. Cameron mentioned that it's your most anticipated game at the end of the year. Like, is Last Guardian still coming out this year?
It's supposed to be.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
It's like October 13th.
I just wanted to make sure that I was just like, that's still this year, right?
Yeah,
Or,
they don't have a lot of time left to push if they need to. I'd say probably like they'd have to push it by the
tomorrow.
last week of September.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, seriously, it's seriously one of those games.
Like, Deus Ex: Mankind Divided came out, like, and I didn't even know it. I just want to make sure I didn't miss something.
I
there.
feel like there's a chance that game's not going to sell great.
Deus
Deus
Ex.
Ex.
I feel like it might.
Oh, I know it's
I
not.
agree.
I don't think Human Revolution sold as
sold
well
well.
as it should have.
Well, that's maybe not, because that's generally considered like a top 50 game of that generation. But it's still sold well. I think this one sells way worse.
I'm still gonna play it, but I don't think
Marketing's
it
not
sells
that great
well.
on it.
Nope, definitely not.
No.
The marketing
Yeah,
was
it's
Snuck
not
up on
at all.
snuck up on us in a lot of
Wait,
ways.
like, it had
uh,
marketing.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like,
Well, you know why?
Human Revolution was on point.
Its marketing started off as augment your pre-order, and they wanted you to kickstart
Oh,
it
right.
on certain levels. And I think they just said this didn't work, and they went quiet.
To be fair, though, they
about
weren't the only people who did that. Like,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
been a couple
Oh,
of
I
games
forgot
on
about the
Steam
augmented
that were,
pre-order.
if we get so many
There's
pre-orders.
also that controversy about them posting a picture to, was it their Twitter or Instagram or something like that, and it was the Ogs Lives Matter right in the middle.
Really?
Of Black
Wow.
Lives Matter. Yeah,
Today
not
I
see
learned
that.
I've
It
been living under a
real
rock.
bad.
Yeah, same. Dude, I work
It
in a
was
game store,
real
and I don't know
bad.
half this stuff.
Yeah, and then so like I can't remember. There's another developer that kind of was like, "Hey man, that shit was fucked up. You shouldn't say that." And then the PR
Was this right after the Pulse shooting?
I don't know
When it was?
exactly
Okay.
it was, but
2016
yeah.
in general is just not a good
It's-
year.
Yeah,
to
it was
say
in
that
the middle of
jokingly.
the Black Lives Matter, like the big movement.
Oh, okay.
And then so like
Oh, that one,
essentially the PR team and this developer, they were shooting back and forth at each other, and yeah, like the PR guy for the Deus Ex team was like defending his point as like he was dying on that hill, and he did.
Wow.
Like an anime fan on prom night.
So their marketing they hired the wrong guys. It sounds
Yeah.
like so, but anyway, so Final Fantasy 15. Hopefully it's good.
Last Guardian, hopefully it
that-
comes out.
Yeah, that's true.
October 25th, by the way.
We'll touch
I
on
thought it was September.
No, October 25th.
Okay.
yeah. We'll touch on a couple of things here, but then I think we ought to wrap it up. We're just tipped over the hour and a half mark here, so there's only a few people I think in this room that is really keen to this next thing, but Justin Roiland and Tanya Watson. Justin Roiland is
Writer, creator of
Rick and Morty. Tanya Watson's ex-producer at Epic Games. She produced a lot of like all the Gears games, all that. They're getting together to make a VR game dev studio, and it's called Squanch Tendo.
Squanch. Wait, repeat that, please.
The dev studio is called Squanch Tendo.
Squanch Tendo.
And I had to look it up, and I went to the website to make sure that this wasn't like a fake thing. But like they announced it with like a comic strip of like ooh wee, look at all this.
Oh, wait! Look
Yeah.
at all this technology in VR!
Yeah, so I mean, so they're gonna work on VR games. It sounds like that. There's nothing.
Hey guys, we should start a VR game studio.
Right.
Everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And it has to be some kind of play on Nintendo, maybe Sony,
Yeah.
Sega.
Nintropeadope.
Yeah.
Nintropeadope.
Nintropeadope.
All right.
Oh,
let's-
goodness.
No.
Tropeadope.
Nope.
Cain's like, I retract my
I'm
statement.
sorry.
But I'm sure whatever they whatever comes out of that development studio is gonna be super trippy and deeply disturbing. And so yeah, and then I guess the last thing kind of popped up today actually before we got started. There was just an article on Game Rant about how the voice actress for I forget her name, Ellie. Yeah, Ellie for The Last of Us said that she would love to do a reprisal of that role if that was to come up. And Neil Druckmann had confirmed that work has already begun on Last of Us 2.
Did he say that specifically? Last of Us 2.
That's
The
what I
Last of
asked.
Us 2.
That's what I asked when I heard this too.
Yeah, the
Last
specific
of Us
quote
2.
from the Game Rant article was
Wow.
Neil Druckmann has said that has confirmed that they've begun work on The Last of Us 2.
Which, the other thing of that means no more Uncharted 4 content.
Yeah.
Because they were waiting to finish Uncharted 4 before they even started on Last of Us 2, so...
And they've never really been like a DLC
For that series anyways.
Yeah, so yeah, like I'm sure like Uncharted 4 is totally wrapped up and that's
They wanted to make sure it was
and,
polished and, and everything. And
yeah.
So hopefully that's codename Last of Us 2.
Right. Yeah.
Because that especially would suck. To be
Yeah.
called The
Yeah.
Last of Us 2.
And
So wish for more money.
So,
The Laster of Us.
so
Final
the
Fantasy 2.
yeah, The Last of Us TOO.
but so I mean, yeah, like that kind of brings up like hopefully it's not like the code name, because obviously I think we all kind of feel pretty strongly of this, like the way The Last of Us finished is a good way to finish. Like it's not a pretty ending, but it's totally
It's a self-contained
It's
story.
sacred
at that point.
territory.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think I'm probably played some of The Last of Us the least amount of people in this room, but in general, I can tell that this is a big one. It's Naughty Dog and all, but in a weird way, you could say big shoes to fill. Like this, I think if you did a poll on Link Game FAQs or something, what is the one game you don't want a sequel to? I feel like this one might win. So it is very interesting. I mean, it's Naughty Dog. So that's kind of the end of it, right? It's gonna be good.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah, pretty much. They've done nothing but shit gold bricks for the last,
Yeah, it's
15
time.
years.
Yeah, a long time.
Forever. Probably since I started.
Honestly,
doing
like-
I
video
mean,
games.
even Green
Yeah.
Dog.
I can't think of a
even
single
in
game
the
that done.
PlayStation 1 era, they were still at least
Well,
top
maybe like
15
Uncharted.
developer.
Maybe Uncharted 3 was like the least least good game that they did, but still,
It was
like,
still super good.
it
And
performed incredibly well.
It hurt because it was being compared to Uncharted 2.
Oh yeah,
It just couldn't surpass that. That was its only fault, really.
but yeah, and I always got like kind of envisioned, because like people always talk about like, yeah, I would love to see another Last of Us game. I'm like, no, we can't do that, guys. But if we did, like, I always thought like, maybe this time around, like, we get to see the story from like her brother's perspective, or maybe like totally different city, or like, people living in a remote part of the other side of the world, where this is going on. Like, I always thought like filling out the universe would be really cool for this series, but like, yeah, it can't pick up where it left off.
Yeah, I want them to leave those characters alone. There's so many other characters in that world that we don't know of that could tell a really cool story.
Yep.
And like the Fireflies, like playing from the Fireflies perspective might be cool. Something like that. Not interacting. Just leave Joel and Ellie out of it.
I feel like we're getting Ellie. I don't think we get Joel. I think we get Ellie.
I think you're probably
This
right.
voice actress commenting on it, just the stuff in general. I don't think they let her go. The fact that she was only in the DLC, Joel wasn't. It just feels like they're trying to make her the mascot of the series.
Also considering how she's the one who said, I'd love to reprise my role. And the guy was just like, well, we're making another one, so...
Here's my number.
Yeah, seriously. Looks like you'll... Like, it's... Reading between the lines, it looks like she's got another gig as Ellie. So, she's... I would guess Ellie is in it to some capacity. Whether you play as her, you will probably interact with her at least at some point.
Yeah, and
She's also kind of important to the storyline when you think about it.
It's actually kind of interesting because when you really think about... I'm not going to talk about the ending, obviously. Well, maybe we should. I won't. But the way that game ends is... I think most people... If it was a TV show or a movie, I think most people would be clamoring for an end. Like a sequel, to that game. Because it just kind of ends. When I saw that game, the end of it, I was like mad. because I was just like, really? That's how it ends? And then it's such an impactful ending because that is how it ends. I'm trying to be as vague as I can here. Mm-hmm. It just kind of ends, and you're just left to think about how it is. And I think that we've kind of come to terms with that. So people are like, you know what? I don't want to know. I don't want to know what happens.
Yeah.
But if, like I said, I think if it was a movie, I think that people would be like, yeah, I want to know. I want to see what happens. Like, give me the sequel.
That's because movies are bad.
Well, I mean, it's also that movies are
Not
a
true.
passive medium. Like you're watching them and experience another story that you have no way of controlling. Whereas the game, it's more interactive. You feel like you have some control.
Right. We were Joel. We fell in love with Ellie. So
Yeah.
we don't want to see how that relationship ends because it might end badly.
Yeah, and then as far as myself, like I really need to get around to playing the first one and everything like that, even though I do know how the ending is and everything like that. And I'm probably in the vast minority from the sound of it, but once Josh and another friend of ours explained the ending, I loved it.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Because everything that I heard about that game up until that point, I would have been angry if it ended any other way. Because there are some times when an ending is sad, it doesn't make it a bad ending. A bad ending is when it feels like it is out of place and doesn't fit the story. And the ending that they described, I was like, honestly, that makes logical sense to me. Like, that sounds like what Joel, the character you're describing to me, would do. Mm-hmm. Like, he really would. That is kind of the decision he would make. If it was just like, no, I'm going to find some way for us all to get along and survive together, they would just be like, that feels like pandering to me.
Yeah, you're right.
So, I feel like there's a lot of design space as far as where they could go for the sequel, either with Joel and Ellie, or like you said, they could go completely different. It sounds like a really interesting world, is what it gets down to.
Can you guys think of any other game that you love, that you cherish, that you wouldn't want a sequel from?
Earthbound.
No matter what?
I would
Original
never-
team and
nope.
everything?
But there
is.
But it's not a sequel.
Okay,
It's
you're
like a
right.
direct sequel to the events that happened
Oh,
in the
yeah.
previous
Okay,
game.
okay.
Is
Do
that
not
what
want
we're
That's a good
talking
one.
about?
That'd be so hard for them to recapture that now, too. No matter how hard they try, it'd be hard for them to
Yeah, Mother
actually
3
do it.
exists, and it kind of captures the spirit of it, but it's not about Ness. It's not about all those. It's,
Are any of those, do they ever carry characters over? Like Mother 1's... Mother 1's Lucas, right? Or is
Yeah.
Mother 3 Lucas?
Mother 3's Lucas.
Okay.
Mother 1 is Nintendo.
Nice.
And I guess in a way, Mother 3 is a sequel, but it's not. I don't know. It's not a, here's what Ness is up to.
Would you want a sequel to Undertale?
Oh, yeah, there is a character.
No.
with a character
Yeah.
in one.
No
Those
way.
two are so similar, that's why I thought...
Yeah. Well, and so
That one even more, probably.
we
Yeah.
kind of saw this already, but I would say probably any of like the other Final Fantasy games that don't have sequels already fixed in them.
Yeah.
You can't have direct sequels to those because you have 13.2, and that's a bad deal. It's a
Oh
bad
man,
deal.
they would screw up 9 too so bad.
Can we all just talk about how bad Advent Children is?
They did.
At least
They
recognize
had
it for a second.
they had the Final Fantasy IX DS game, but I think that was not considered to be a direct sequel or
I didn't
anything.
even know they had a...
That doesn't
Yeah.
exist. What? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
real
Final
thing.
Fantasy 9 DS
Yeah,
game?
I remember
for
seeing
sure.
Zidane's face slapped
Yeah.
on the cover of Game Crazy.
Oh, he's there.
Yeah.
What?
It's totally.
Look him up right
they
now.
also
Why
did
don't
a
we
Final
own
Fantasy
this?
Like, I know
12
Dissidia, but
type
I don't
of
know
thing.
anything else that
But
Zidane's in.
the reason why,
By the way, it's Zidane.
Yeah, it's Zidane.
Zidane. Okay. Well, hey,
I always say Zidane and I won't
Yeah,
change.
like,
but
seriously,
just for the listeners at home, we know.
okay.
It's
yeah.
also, what?
Yeah.
Titus, not Titus.
Yeah,
Tifa, not Tifa.
Mr. Titus is over there.
Aerith, not
See,
Aerith.
Titus drives me insane because my friend's dad, like growing up in high school, his name was Titus.
Oh, Titus is a pretty common name.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we
but
go
was
to
it
it.
spelled with a D or a T?
D.
D.
It's spelled the exact
Weird.
same way.
I really think it's the I and the sound it makes over in Japan.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
I.
yeah,
well,
it's
We're always
because
wrong.
when you spell it out, it's Titus.
I've always
Tifa's
seen-
the same way. It's Tifa, technically.
I've
Yeah.
always heard Tidas as Titus, and I've always heard Titus as Titus. So that's
Yeah.
why I just called him Titus. But when it comes to 9, it'd be really hard to make a sequel to that game, considering how the entire game was a love letter to the Final Fantasy series.
Mhm.
And so it's just like
And the characters, too.
it was meant to be a lot of references and everything like that too. So
All of them.
I got my game.
Oh, that's good because I don't have one. What's yours?
neither do I.
I would absolutely, like, as much as I would love to play more, I would fucking hate a Shadow of the Colossus sequel.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's my favorite game of all time. Like, that's my number one. Like,
But, man, is
Today's-
technically Eco...
is a prequel.
Well,
no.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you're right. It is a sequel.
Yeah.
but
It's a sequel in the same way
Yeah,
Earthbound.
no.
Mother 3 is
Yeah.
a sequel to
Yeah.
Earthbound.
It came
I was
out
thinking
first,
about
so-
for a second. I was thinking about
Yeah.
like Shadow of the Colossus, like release, like when they were working on it with the dev stuff, and how it's like, oh, it could have been multiplayer, and you could have been playing as a bunch of little eco warriors with the horns. But yeah,
I would.
No.
Shadow of the Colossus 2, especially that title, and even just trying to keep in the world would be
Man.
terrible.
Well, think
but
of
I
this-
would
yeah.
love to see that attempt
But-
at a game with today's technology.
but
Oh,
this is
return
what it would
back.
be.
Well, there
No,
is.
but this
There's
is-
the Norse god one or something like that where they're doing a lot of the similar climbing.
Oh, are you
mechanics.
talking about? Well, no, never mind.
I'd have to look it up.
also,
but-
real quick too, there is no Final Fantasy 9 DS game. I
thought there was one.
I see the case, and I know what you're talking
Is it
about.
Theatre
but
them?
it's
No,
not.
no, it was the wings of the Final Fantasy 12.
It's like
wings.
Rings of Fate or
That's 12, yeah.
That's
Wings of
12.
Liberty, I think.
Anyway,
Was
I
I
thought,
getting
I thought it was
confused?
Crystal
Liberty.
Chronicles.
Is it Fate?
Man, that's StarCraft 2.
Is it the Crystal
You're right.
Chronicles one?
No, it's
Maybe-
not that.
I remember. I think it's like another. It looks very similar to
Oh, okay.
that. The
Anyway.
9 stuff.
Revenant
Well, like-
Wings is the one I was
Yeah.
thinking of.
Revenant
That's Final
Wings.
Fantasy
So-
12.
So the
Technically.
thing that would be frustrating about is I feel like a sequel to Shadow of the Colossus, it would be like, oh, it's really cool because you can do this tech, but it wouldn't be the same game because by virtue of fan demand and also developers wanting to create something new and interesting, they would want to add more to that game, and that is so hard to wedge shit in. So it would be frustrating because I feel like you'd be like, yeah, you're playing Shadow of the Colossus 2, and you can ride on your horse, and you also have a crossbow instead of a bow, and you have a grappling hook that comes off the crossbow. And actually, that sounds really fucking cool. But anyway,
And
grappling-
Jello pudding pop.
grappling hook was a terrible example because grappling hooks always make games more fun.
That's true.
So what's funny is I think if they announced any of these games that you guys don't want a sequel for, and my opinion of them, if they announced them for consoles versus if they announced them for Steam, I would be way more confident in them on Steam. Just for the, like what you said there. Like I feel like console games have to give in to that pressure where people on Steam can actually like kind of just do something. Like I can see a spiritual sequel to Last of
Yeah. Well, kind of how the spiritual successors to like the Dark Souls and like Salt and Sanctuary and like Mouse,
Right.
and Feist in those games, like because the developers could do what they wanted to do.
And they'd actually do it right. That's the yes. I guess my question would be if the developers did it right too, like more of a storyline. Like no, don't even go there, bro. Like I'm having hard thinking of one.
Yeah, but if the developer does it quote unquote right, I can't really think of anything that I wouldn't want. Because if they did it right, then it's good.
I think because like that's the other thing though.
Because I guess what story really came
I
to
think
an
it
end?
would be a direct sequel. What game would you not want to see a direct
Yeah,
sequel?
there you
so
go.
Shadow of the Colossus would be frustrating because he'd be like, "No, you please the princess. She's
Yeah.
you gotta bring your boyfriend
Aggro's back!
This thing's like a feature. We should just take games we love and figure out the direct sequel to them
yes.
as poor as we can.
Like the
Beautiful.
I can easily
We can do this.
I can easily think of ones that I would love to see a sequel to. Like I am firmly in the Legend of Dragoon 2 and Vagrant Story 2 camp. Vagrant Story ended on a cliffhanger setting up a sequel and it never came. The only one I can think of, I'd have to think of it more, but being put on the spot, the only one I can think of where I would be frustrated and honestly probably wouldn't play like a direct sequel to a game is Brothers: Tale of Two Sons.
I was thinking Brothers actually.
That one, like The Last of Us was a great world that was created, and it ended on a kind of a downer and everything like that. But it was still a very good ending. But you can see how seeing other people's lives in that world would be interesting and everything like that. Brothers was mostly self-contained, just to the two brothers. You didn't really interact with anybody other than the trolls and then the bully kid. It was mostly just the brothers.
I think in a lot of ways I hate to call them indie, but more or less the smaller $20 games.
It's easy.
I think
it's
the
easy
emotionally
identify.
driven $20 games, I almost wouldn't want a sequel to any of them that I can think of off
Dude,
the top of my head.
yeah,
like that.
I mean-
It just feels like
Yeah.
I can think of so many now.
the ones you wouldn't want sequels to.
I wouldn't want to see like Minecraft 2.
That's coming.
Yeah,
I mean, just
that'll happen.
Microsoft
Yeah.
owns it. It's coming.
yeah.
Minecraft Halo, you mean? Or something like that?
I think that already exists.
Also,
I'm pretty sure.
There's
Also,
skins. You can
I
be
just
Master Chief.
I just don't want another sequel for a Resident Evil game. They should just stop.
Oh,
They should really stop.
Resident Evil 7 not,
Putting a
not
hard
grabbing you?
line down on just stop making Resident Evil games, but that's never going to happen. So
Well,
whatever.
they don't have to because Konami is picking up that torch for them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, they did stop
do you
making
feel
sequels
about
to Mega Man games,
Yeah.
so it might happen.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yep.
Yep. It takes like 10 or 15 to do that.
Do you have a game?
Oh, I already said like the Final Fantasies.
Oh yeah, you did.
Like any of the Final Fantasy stuff. But yeah, I mean beyond that too, like a direct sequel. Yeah, like I would probably say
BioShock. Oh wait.
Well, I mean,
No, we don't want a sequel to that.
no. I don't know. I can't think of
Got
anything
one.
right now. But
Wasn't great. It was okay.
Yeah.
I can't really think of anything else. But
I had trouble thinking up too. It was my question.
I suppose maybe we ought to brew on this.
Good topic.
Think about it a little bit. Yeah, maybe this will make a return in
Oh,
the future here.
there is another sequel thing that I
Real
don't
quick.
like. Sorry.
Real quick, go ahead. No. You. Yeah.
There's another sequel thing that I don't like that I'm bringing up, and that is I don't like any of the sequels to Wind Waker. I think they're all trash.
Oh, yeah.
Spirit Tracks and
Yep, all the
Phantom
DS
Hourglass.
Zelda games are trash,
Was-
in my opinion.
Whoa.
Was Phantom
Agreed.
Hourglass?
DS?
Like, oh no, like all the okay, whoa, yeah, sorry, backtrack. Not all the DS ones, all the Wind Waker DS Zelda games, in my opinion,
Are we
garbage.
grouping 3DS into the DS category? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're just saying
'cause-
Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, basically.
Yeah.
See, what other Zelda games were on the original DS?
No, I think it
thought it
was
was
I
just
just
the,
mean- I
the
just mean, like,
3DS
the-
DS
The original statement
family.
worked then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But like Phantom Hourglass was in the Wind Waker universe. I thought it was
It's
just
a direct sequel.
Oh, it is.
And
a
then
direct
Spirit Tracks is a direct sequel of that.
Okay, I knew the Spirit Tracks because I had.
They're
like,
not
Tinker
bad
Bell.
games. They're just kind of
Boring as fuck.
they're just kind of bad Zelda games. Like they're
Yeah.
okay games, but they certainly are in the bottom half of Zelda.
It's the crayon art version of Zelda.
I remember the one thing
So
I liked was
it's-
drawing your map.
Well, I'm
It's
saying
the
more
only
in the
redeeming
sense of
It's the
like
only
quality of
thing,
that.
yeah.
combat was spamming tactic on
So
your
it
screen.
is the Rose art to the Crayola Zelda games.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
But
Yeah, art.
Anyways.
Sorry, that reference.
if we stop this soon, we could just miss 2 hours. So I think we probably should do that.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
I mean, it's a good podcast. I want to say for the first go. Yeah, might have been a lot of rambling. Might have been.
We got into a good group, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about a lot of good stuff, but yeah. At any rate, we're gonna definitely try to do these on a weekly basis, and we're also probably going to be rotating moderators. But yeah. If you've stuck with us this long, you're awesome, and thanks for checking this out.
Wait, let's talk about World of Warcraft for just a little bit.
In case we lost someone along
Ah,
the way.
Tropeadope, that sounds cool. Like, what you been playing? World of Warcraft. How about you? World of Warcraft. End. Unsubscribe. Bad comment.
Anyways, so yeah, thanks, and we will hopefully see you next week.
Is this the part where techno music starts to play and fade out?
No, those are World of Warcraft.
Yeah.